Okay.
All right, so it's 3:04. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Let's all stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Oh, no, I didn't. A mess. You don't like. We'll go ahead and have roll call. So in attendance, we have Carol, Doug, myself, and Ed. Absence, we have Bob Gepper. I need a motion for the approval of the final agenda.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll go ahead and start with public comments. And just a reminder, public comments are comments and they are able to speak for 3 minutes. And Laura was our first.
Vincent Lafredo is first. He is from Stony Brook. He is speaking regarding items 11A and 11F as in Frank. And please state your name just for the record.
Yeah, the name is Vince Lafredo from Stony Brook. 11A concerning the audit presentations, since I don't know what's going to come to it. I've listened to it for the last 3 years. My question has been, and I brought it up in the past, it was brought up in January to this board concerning the deposits for the water meters or the water deposits when people move in their house, however you want to term it. The amount of money that's been in there for some time doesn't match up with the number of meters that are out there. And also the fact it's a big lump of money that's sitting non-interest bearing. We're talking in the range of close to $900,000. I think last August it was somewhere around 890. So my feeling is on this. We've had interest rates and our community is seeing this too, return on revenue. Again, I don't know what the laws are, but the fact is for the last couple of years, we've been losing 5% that could be gained on this water deposit until such time as you decide what you want to do. 10 years I've lived here. I've had $200 sitting there doing nothing. And that's pretty much what's here. And that's what I want to address on the audit, if in fact it will be brought up or if they look into this and what the recommendations would be by the audit company. 11F, the monument SR 82. I've done some research since we've met with a member of the board here in Chelsea concerning the easement in front of the monument. And I've gone back to the records, back to the early 2000s. And Gateway Services was granted a 15-foot easement from the corner of Gateway Boulevard all the way down to Hampton, to the end of, to Griffith. And looking through some of these, because these are old maps. And my question is on the 15-foot easement, it was measured after 100-foot right-of-way. It was granted by Lee County in the state of Florida when they expanded Route 82. And I honestly think we should look back at this. Now I'm reading on the agenda, it's Gateway Boulevard and 82. So I'm saying, okay, from Gateway Boulevard all the way down, is that 15-foot easement in place? Because I can't find records on it, but it is all the way down 82. In that same period of time, FPL was granted 15-foot easement in the same way. I don't believe these measurements have ever been updated. I know drone shots have been taken of property lines along Stony Brook, but they are in contention in my mind. I'm going to continue to do some research, but I really think when this monument comes over that the easement thing should be checked out closely on what actually is happening right now. You might already have the easement for it.
Are these utility easements or landscape easements?
Let's just keep the comments to comments and we'll try
I'm trying to find out what kind of easement he's referring to.
Well, the 15-foot is based on papers that were shown and it said Gateway Services, and I think it goes back to 2006, 2008, and Gateway Services were entitled to that 15-foot easement after the 100-foot right of way on the roads. And this is before it was expanded on 82.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Vince.
All right, next up is Mike McAndrews regarding the bond on North Haven, which is item 11C.
I would just like to make a comment on that renewal.
Yeah.
Mike McAndrews, 12051 Hidden Links Drive. I live on the south side of that lake. I don't, Ed, you might know what that pond number is. My comment is this North Haven was projected to be built with that pond being his property. It was never what do they call that? Drafted into the gateway lakes. Now that if that has happened in the last 8 months, the Lee County shows no. It's still part of a 16-acre piece of property. If you go to Google Maps, there's no lake. You go to Google Earth, of course, there's a lake. We've all seen it. This 98-unit townhomes with infrastructure, pool, gatehouse, and a clubhouse on less than 6 acres of land, I find that very, very high density, and would like you guys to think about that on this bond renewal for North Haven. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and our last is Frank Solozzi and Brad Rogers regarding tree removal around lake. It's a non-agenda item.
Frank Solozzi with Daniels Preserve. So I have, they're doing the lake renewal around, behind my house, and I have 3 royal palms that are, I did not plant them. I've only lived there 3 years. They were originally planted probably 15 years ago. And the contention is that they need to be removed for the lake to be maintained after it's finished being redone. The idea is that I don't think people have actually, that have voted on this, have looked to see the room, the space that's left there from the area of rock and grass to where the trees are. These trees are probably 15, 20 years old. They're not in the way. There's a clear amount of room between the high water mark and the trees themselves for pretty much any vehicle to pass through. So I'm just asking that someone take a second look and see that it is room to pass. It does not create an issue. There's royal palms, all over Florida. So they're not invasive. They're not, troublesome. And they're well maintained. So
What's your address?
12901 Village Gate Court. So there are 3 palms there, royals. They've been in the ground since, 15 years. And the idea is they've been working on it all day, going past with large machinery, and getting past and not having to get into the rocked area. So they don't disturb the upkeep and maintenance that will need to be provided for years to come. In the previous lake that they did, there's quite a few trees that were left at a much lower level than mine, my 3 trees. So my contention is that they're not creating an issue. They're not creating a hazard. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brad Rogers, Extreme Divers. I'm the contractor working on that lake. Stephen, are you there? Stephen Agapi?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm on, I'm
Brad, you
virtually.
address the board, please.
Okay, Stephen, could you, Stephen and I have been working with Lake 82. I sent him a picture today so he could pull it up on the screen. Do you mind pulling that up for us, please?
Yeah, I can
We
pull it
can't-
up. I just,
You can't share a screen.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took a picture of what this gentleman was talking about. And I've been able to speak with most everyone. And I think the mistake was we really didn't understand what we were voting on, the difference between the trench line and the rock line. The trench line is so much farther up into the lake bank than the rock line. And the 9 foot rule that was passed from the rock or from the trench line up. My personal opinion, I think it needs to be lowered back to the rock line, which is 6 inches above control elevation. So when you put these lake banks out to bid in the future, Gateway does a survey before we even put them out to bid. And they survey 6 inches above control elevation. Tetra Tech goes out, identifies all the trees that need to be 9 foot from that 6 inches above control elevation. Identifies all the trees that need to be taken out. So that way I can put a line item in there, a number. Okay, this is what it's going to cost to pull all those trees out. Now, one other thing that I suggest, because from the rock line, and I encourage you all to go out to Lake 82 and just drive around. We're putting the sod in right now. But from the rock line up, you have plenty of room to go around, giving you 9 feet. Technically, you really only need about 7 feet to get a cart or a side by side in there, but 9 feet is plenty. One other thing that I suggest you do, my personal opinion, is you're going to have big, beautiful oak trees or royal palms or whatever that are going to be on the 9-foot line. So you need to have a conversation on how y'all are going to decide that, because it's going to happen. I was out there measuring 9 foot from the trench line a couple weeks ago, and I had this beautiful tree, and I'm like, do I measure from the front side of the trench line or the back side? Because that determines on if it's coming out or not. So I think there needs to be 18, 24-inch leeway there, or if most of the tree is below the line, comes out, most of the trees above the
I
line.
need you to wrap it up.
Okay, anyway, that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
I don't have any other comments here and there is no one online with their hand raised.
Okay, so let's go ahead. Any local achievements and recognition? I think I saw something from Vicky.
Yep, we've had Vicky, we've had, I just want to make it a note, and I'll hopefully come up with a plan to recognize her, but we do have an employee hitting 20 years working with the district soon. So we want to recognize that. On top of truly just all staff right now, we're out there in this 100+ degree heat. Our utility staff right now working with the contractor. We got the meter box project starting. Public Works, all of the projects that they have going. So we have a impeccable team, and they just keep at it. And I just want to recognize them for all their efforts.
Thank you. Advisory committees and items to report. Okay. Approval of minutes. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda items. Do I have anything to pull? No?
I move on consent agenda items 9A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Okay, I'll have a motion.
I just did.
I have one. That's what I said. I said I have one. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
I just did.
District engineer. Stephen?
Stephen, do you want to take this item?
The next item, hold on a second. Are we talking about the TA for Lake 109?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fast on to 17 minutes.
So we have an amended task authorization for Lake 109. This is for just the golf course side of Lake 109. We're still waiting on the permit. We did get comments back today for the rest of the lakes. So Lake 109 should be coming within the next couple of days. The comments were very minor. So I don't foresee any issues with that one. We should have that permit here pretty soon. Task authorization is for minimal construction observation. We have 100 hours in there for Wyatt to do inspection as needed during Brad's construction.
Stephen, can you just clarify the cost difference between the original one and the amended one, and why there was a difference?
Danny had submitted a task authorization originally for a higher amount than the 30, I think it's 39,000 right now, $39,400. And the difference there is just Danny pared down the services just to be more in line with what's going on out there.
I was also told that those costs were split because of the TA for Pelican, and that if Pelican chose not to move forward on their task authorization, it would revert back to the $63,000 number. Is that correct? Because that's what Danny told me.
I don't think that's true. The task authorization that is in front of the board for 39,400 is for tasks or for Lake 109 solely, so it's not tied to on 36.
Yeah, you're sticking to the 100 hours on the RI. The other one was
Yep.
200 hours. That was what I was trying to figure out. What does adding another project have to do with it? It's 100 hours or it's 100 hours. Just because another job in there, I can't see an advantage. Now I can see advantages for mobility of you coming up here and having the guy working there and working here. You get a 4-hour day at both location and you achieve the deal and avoid the travel costs and all that. So, but 100 hours is what was estimated, and I would hope that whether it's on its own or if it's separate, it's still 100 hours.
It is.
So it'd be the 39,800 or 400, whatever it was.
Yep.
So you're of the
Correct.
opinion and that, so you're of the opinion that the agreement that shows 39.4 is good, whether we go with or without 36?
That is correct.
Okay, no.
Well, then I need approval for the amended TA for
I'll make-
$39,400.
I'll make a motion to approve the, did it have a different number on it? It just amended TA?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the amended TA for Lake 109 Construction Management Services.
I'll second.
Well, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Public Works Maintenance Building.
Eric, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, Eric Pye with Tetra Tech. I'm the project manager for the Public Works Storage Building. We have completed 90% design for the project and are prepared to submit permits pending board review and approval. We are awaiting staff comments, which we're expecting by close of business tomorrow. So depending on those comments, we should be submitting around midweek. We did have a change in our project team. Our project manager with Grady Minor has left the company and will now be working with Frank Feeney with Grady Minor. So just want to make the board aware of that. And then at the 60% design review, the only comment we got from the board was to add gates along the east side of the soccer fields. We do have one additional gate shown. I don't know if I can point, but it's up by the dumpster enclosure there. We positioned 2 handicap parking spaces near the gate, which is consistent with accessibility guidelines and also facilitates a separation between the wheel stops so that vehicular access can be facilitated there, as you have with the existing gate at the southwest corner or the northwest corner of the existing parking lot.
Eric, if I could just chime in real quick. Ultimately, we're at 90%. They've incorporated your comments from 60%. Staff is doing an internal QA/QC on it. We'll provide our comments to Tetra Tech. Excuse me. Tomorrow, we're looking for your approval to move and apply for the appropriate permits.
And how long will that take?
For the permits?
Yeah,
Take a guess. I would say a year, truthfully. With the county and how delayed that they are, I would say it's gonna take a year. And we've got South Florida Water Management. Right, Eric?
Yes, we'll be submitting the ERP and the DO next week.
As long as you all,
So we're wanting an
so
emotion.
how confident are you with your construction estimate, the 2.2 million-ish?
The 2.2, is that in the agenda packet?
yes. Go to.
Does that include a contingency
Yes.
factor, or is that,
It
with-
does
It
15%.
does.
that's got 15 in it?
Yeah,
Okay,
I asked him to reduce it to 10.
so what we're needing is a motion to approve the
Well,
90%.
If it's a year, if we don't even break ground say a year from now, and it'll take how long to build?
Couple months.
6 months?
Yeah.
You're talking budget year 27?
Mhm.
By that time, is this figure going to go up a lot? Like the administrative building did, or?
Until we put it out to bid, it's hard to tell.
Anybody's guess.
We're just asking to go into permitting to incorporate any comments that they have. So we had, to give an example, Carol, we had $1 million estimated for the utility storage building. Bids came in at 400,000. So it's literally a guessing game right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Came out that much under?
Yes.
Okay,
So
all right.
we'll have a better gauge of that, after we get all the permits and put it out to bid. but we're looking for your,
is there a motion to approve the 90%?
and applying for permits.
I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Right.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good vice chair there, 7F.
Admin agenda items?
Yep, we've got our auditor here, Jay Gaines. Thanks for coming, Jay.
You're welcome. As Chelsea said, my name is Jay Gaines. I'm the audit director for Burger Toombs, Elam, Gaines and Frank. It was our pleasure to audit Gateway for the year ended 9/30/2023. I'm past the first two pages. I'm on the third page. The basic financial statement opinion, which is on page 1 through 4 of our report. In our opinion, the basic financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate fund information of Gateway Services Community Development District as of September 30, 2023. And the respective changes in financial position and the budgetary comparison for the general Pelican Preserve, Stony Brook, Town Lakes, and Lake Bank restoration funds for the year ended in conformity with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. We also have several other opinions and or letters that are included. On page 52 and 53 of our report is the internal control compliance letter, which is a requirement under generally accepted governmental accounting standards. And in this report, there were no instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported under governmental auditing standards. The management letter, which is required by the Auditor General, is on pages 54 through 56. We had no management letter findings for the year ending September 30, 2023. And our last report is a attestation report on the compliance with section 218, 415 Florida statutes. And that we're pleased to report the district complied with that statute, and that statute has to do with investments. So that was in compliance. We also this year did a single audit because of the amount of the state awards that you received. Excuse me, state projects. Your expenditures this year was 2.185 million. On page 60 and 61 was our schedule of findings and question costs on state financial projects. There were no findings or question costs. We also have to do a compliance letter on major projects, and we had no findings in that opinion either. Now to the financial statements. Your ending fund balance for governmental funds at 9/30 was 22,517,000. Your ending net position for governmental activities was 22,506,000. For business type activities, it was 24,831,000. So your total net position was 47,337,000. And as typical, there is a deficit fund balance in the Lake Bank Restoration Fund. And that's because you borrow the money to do the restoration. And so the borrowing of the money doesn't create income. And so all the expenditures create the deficit. Your changes in fund balance and net position for governmental funds, you had a 13 million positive change. For governmental activities, you had a negative $1.6 million. And that's generally the difference is depreciation, which is not recognized at the fund level. Your business type activities had a negative change in net position of $3.7 million. So your total change in net position was negative $5.3 million. We also have to do a SAS 114 letter, which stands for Statement of Accounting Standards. I like to call it the Enron letter because this letter was required of CPAs that do audits after the Enron audit failure, when the board told everybody that the auditors never talked to them. And so they didn't know what was going on. And so now we send this letter, so the board can't say that anymore. And so you have been provided a copy of that letter, and I recommend that you read it. But, you know, there were no immaterial, uncorrected misstatements identified. And with that, that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
We're now 8 months past the end of our budget year. Is there any way we could get this earlier?
Well, that's a process. And we try and do our best on our end, and they try to do their best on their end, and it's just a process.
When it's be returned to us.
Yeah.
So that is one.
I mean, we only have 4 more months left in this budget year, and you're talking about last year. I mean, it's great to know that there's no problems and it's a beautiful audit, but it just seems it comes way too late. That's my concern.
Again, you know, like I said,
That's,
it's a process every year, and a lot of it's timing and how fast we get information back and how fast we get that, you know, get the original information. And, you know, it's not any one thing that anybody can necessarily control every year. We do it as fast as we can. This year, there was a lot of adjustments that had to be made relative to the, all the, money from the state awards, and it took a lot of time to get through that.
Yeah, understood.
Okay.
Twice as much stuff this year as I've had to in previous years. We went back and forth for probably 6 or 8 weeks with different letters of requests of documents that I had to send over. It was a much greater volume of items that were gone through this year compared to the previous years that I've been helping with the audit.
With
So
additional funding that we anticipate coming either from state or federal, it's probably
it's
gonna get worse.
Yeah.
okay. Regarding the, do we want to touch, because I know the answer of Vince's question regarding the deposits, because I think Tony, not allowed to collect interest on those, on that, right?
So the district mean earning as
Mhm.
opposed to accruing to the customer typically accrues in favor of the customer.
Yeah.
So this,
So I think Vince missed, we did talk about this at one of the meetings
With the utility rules.
with the utility rules. So, yeah, so if anything, if you can get with Vince and explain what we talked about.
I can just do some follow-up research and a memo to the board.
Okay.
I'd like to ask Shay, do you have an opinion on that? On the issue the gentleman brought up?
I have not looked at the work papers in detail, and so I would not want to say something off the top of my head that would be wrong. And so I will go back and look at it and see what our.
You understand what the issue is? It's collected,
Right,
what do you call it?
Deposits.
Deposits.
yeah, right, yes.
And he said something that.
Two issues. One is that the amount, the total amount of deposit does not equal the total amount of
Yeah, he
residents.
said that. I didn't
I'm concerned
understand.
about that because I wasn't sure. Because they're the same amount. That's what I thought, like commercials.
Has it been different amounts
Yeah,
collected? Because if you take and divide that, it averages about $200.
There's different amounts for different size meters, and then the prices have changed over the years. So if somebody's lived here for 20 years, they pay less for their hookup than
Okay.
somebody.
Okay, so the issue is right now that's setting an account that's not dedicated to anything, correct?
It's non-interest bearing.
It just sits.
Which
there.
is even worse.
And if there is to be
Yeah.
interest, it would accrue to the deposit.
and if you do accrue interest, it's for the resident, not for.
Correct.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Okay.
so I'm just sitting here trying to think, why are we keeping this money?
But we did talk, and that's what Vince is missing. We did talk about it. I found, my memory serves me right, and we said 2 years, right? Remember we had when Leslie had the workshop and we
Remember the
said,
discussion.
okay.
Yeah, we said 2 years.
So I think it was
And
2
at any
years.
point, if,
They're not behind or anything like that. I don't remember exactly.
yeah, we're talking about 2
So we
years,
came up
2
with a
years for
resolution.
funding it.
Yeah.
And if at any point the resident goes into arrears or becomes neglectful, we could require them to put that deposit back in.
Yes,
So
so,
There was
we
a whole
will-
policy we were.
Yeah.
looking-
We will go back and listen to that because I know Leslie and
I
Tony
forgot
are
about that.
working on the utility rules because we have to amend that through a public
Mhm.
hearing. So I anticipate that by the year end.
And that's
Yeah,
what you said would do anyway.
Yeah, there's some good examples out there. I'm looking at LCUs, for example.
Yeah.
As a way for one.
And then that's what Leslie said, that's
Yeah.
what she brought in. She brought in the examples and she says, you guys decide. And I think we did a blend.
Yes.
We did something that, yeah.
We'll
So,
follow up with Vincent.
all right, thank you. All right, no other
Okay.
questions. We're good.
Everybody have a nice afternoon.
Okay.
So I think we should also commend Laura
Yes.
for all the work
AJ?
that she does. And obviously, Laura, you made no mistakes.
Just one question. Who's transmitting the audit to the Auditor General?
Stephen takes care of that.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll make sure it gets done.
Thank you.
All right.
So good job, Laura.
Thank you.
Yes, good job. Ready? Next for Raftelis. All right, so we've got Tony, I always butcher his last name, Harrison, online for the rate analysis. As you may have recalled, this has been probably the third time it's brought in front of you. The changes really ultimately between the last time and this time is the anticipated delta for the admin building if the bids do come higher. So we wanted to make sure the utility fund accounted for that. And also the meter box project when we finalized the RFP with Arcadis. And so we wanted to make sure we got those worst case scenario numbers in there. So that way we can make sure we have enough rates and revenue to cover those large capital projects that we anticipate coming in the next couple years. So with that, I hope I didn't steal any of his shine. Tony, you want to take over?
Yes, thank you, Chelsea. No, that was a great introduction, and I will go through this presentation fairly quick. A couple of highlights, but it's the same format as what's presented a couple times this year. First, I was down there in January and gave an update, I think, in March. And so this is forward-looking, so we're always dealing with what's been happening on expenses, but also what you're building for the future as well. And so on this, what's on your screen now, this update, we had the forecast through fiscal year 2028. A couple of things that have changed since last time is, as Chelsea mentioned, the contingency on the main district building, the utilities portion. This is just dealing with utilities and utility rates. Additional $769,000 to that project, which is out to bid from our understanding right now. So that's built in. And also, a project added is the sewer main inspections and repairs. Each year, $357,000. That's added as well. And going back to the main district building, one other item we made sure that was in there is the operating costs of that facility and the replacement costs as well. So that's fully funded with the contingency. And as everything, we're looking forward. So one of the recommendations, again, is to review this every few years to make sure you're on target because we're setting the stage for the future. And these changes, I would say, have tweaked the results of the rates. We're phasing in over time, so the phase-in is slightly higher than what we had before. So moving forward, the capital improvement plan on the next page. There it is. This is largely the same. Last time it was the bottom right, the total through 2028. The 5-year total was 30,632,000. With those changes that I mentioned in the last slide, it's now the 31,745,000. So added a little bit to the capital compared to last time. If we go to the next slide, the funding has changed accordingly as well. We were funding the 30,632,000. Now we're funding, as shown here, the 31,745,000. With the changes affected are the top line, the water sewer revenue fund, and also connection fees as well has absorbed the difference. So the result in the forecast is on the next slide. On the bottom right is the phase-in of the rate adjustments. So what we've done is prior to this, it was just the water and the irrigation that had the adjustments because that's where the capital need was. And the water is the same as we presented last time. Is a little higher than what was in January, but the same as in March was this 14% over the next 2 years, and then more of an inflationary after that. And same with irrigation, is 12%. That's what we presented last time. It's a little bit higher than January, but no changes since last time. The major change since last time is sewer had no increases when we first looked at this, and then we've bumped it up to 3% the first 2 years, and then 2% the last 2 years of the forecast. The reason for that is that the sewer inspection program that's going to be ongoing, so we're funding that, and that's why that's layered in now. That wasn't there before. How this translates to a monthly bill is on the next slide. And again, this was a slight change. This is a comparison with others. You're at $83.53 now for 4,000 gallons. What we had before for this upcoming year in October was $90.12. So with the adjustments and those rates is now $90.56. So a little bit higher, but same relative position to the others as well. And then over time, I showed you the phase in of the rates. So over time, the rates are slightly higher as well. On the next slide, we'll take these two numbers. There in the middle of the slide, the current bill at $83.53. I showed you the $90.56 for next year, starting in October. And then the phase in each year by 2028 going to $104.50. Before, last time we showed you this, it was $103.63. So it's about a dollar higher by 2028 per month than what it is now. So it does. Those projects did make a difference by a degree here, and then of course you're going to review this by 2028 to to see where the rates need to go in the future, or if anything needs to happen with these rates. But we do have the contingency in here, and you do have reserves, importantly, to absorb anything that's higher or lower in any particular year. The next slide has that reserve, similar slope to what I showed before, where you have those reserves this past year, represented by the horizontal bars. It goes down pretty good this year into next year, and then we build that up. So that's the phasing in. We build it up to our minimum by 2028. And that allows you the flexibility to phase in rates over time, as opposed to having to do everything at one time. So we want to balance this utility over time, so we phase in the rates and keep them competitive. And then the final slide is just summarizing, same summaries we had before, is implementing the rate adjustments. Number 2, they're funding the capital plan. Number 3, the rates are comparable with others, as we've shown before. And number 4, importantly, is reviewing this we say every 4 years, but really, depending on how costs go, you may want to do it even in 2 to 3 years. We're in 2024, so by 26 or 27, you're reviewing this, so that you're not caught flat-footed. And then number 5, staff is fully aware of the public notifications and is prepared, and I believe that information's in the packet as well. So that's the update on the rates, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Oh, sorry.
Now, these rates that you're proposing, this includes the water meter replacement
Yes, ma'am.
project.
That's
That's
over-
built in here also.
That's over half of the 30 million in capital projects. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah, would you go back to the rate study overview about 5 pages back? Keep going, 2 more back. There you go. How did you get to 769,900? Because I thought that the reason we were doing this is that the utilities share of the building cost overrun, which I thought was 1.8 million, 59% would be a lot more than 769. What am I missing here?
Hold on. We're talking only the delta of the 3.6 to the 5 point.
only the difference.
I thought it was 1.8,
I'd have to go back.
and 1.8 is times 59%, 1.1 million, not 769. That's what I'm trying to figure out where this
The
is.
total, yeah, the total funding from utilities is just under $3 million with that contingency, which would put the project at just over 5 million total.
Okay, well, I
So-
thought that the problem was that the last time we spoke, one of the issues that you guys weren't aware of was this possibility of this overrun in the building, which I think was 1.8 million. And if 1.8 million is the overrun, 59% of it goes to enterprise. And again, that's 1.1 million, not 769. I'm just trying to figure out, do we have enough coverage here?
Yeah, it may have been, Chelsea may be able to clarify, but we may have already had some of that overrun and that was already paid, because what we're showing is just starting this fiscal year. A lot of that project was already funded and the money's already out of the utility budget before this study even began. So.
Then the other question was, is that you indicated that the O&M component was added in. So we had talked about it earlier that the building was going to be about $100,000. So 59% of that would be in the cost going forward. So what I'm getting to is that unlike our regular budget where we're talking about pulling that out for the purpose of the assessment, this one's got it budgeted in.
Yes.
Okay, so it won't be quite a sticker shock in a year or two when
Yes.
we kick in.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
So I just want to chime in. Laura and I met with Stephen Bloom and he's on the call, so I don't want to put words in his mouth. But if you recall, you know, we just constructed 2 roundabouts that depleted most of the reserves. A big portion of this rate is to replenish those reserves. We do have money in the bank. We've got connection fees. We've got our R&R, our repair and replacement fund. Ultimately, a lot of this is driven from capital projects that are in queue, but it's also a big portion of that is to rebuild those reserves. So we're looking to hopefully move forward with this, set a public hearing. We have to put it in our bill, which, as you know, only goes out every 2 months. So I think we were shooting for the July bill would be the next one, and then to set, you know, the public hearing with the rates to try to take effect with the new fiscal year.
So is our
So we're in line.
next day deal to advertise for a public hearing?
Yeah, I think it'd be appropriate for the board to authorize, set the public hearing for, I think, August 15th. And authorize staff to take all appropriate action to prepare the notices for the utility billing and the notice in the newspaper.
What's our timeline on that?
The,
What do we have to meet?
for the notice in the newspaper, at least 10 days before the hearing, but we'll get it out well in advance. And since the billing goes out in July, be well in advance of the August.
So we're going to do this concurrent with the meeting for the assessment. It's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna take another trip.
yeah, the statute as to putting it in the bill, just it needs to go with the typical billing statement, and that's the next development.
Okay,
John.
do you want a directive from the board or you want a motion?
I think a motion for the
Motion,
board,
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah,
I will
think of it.
move whatever Tony's now gonna say.
yeah, authorize staff to, well, set the public hearing for August 15th, 2024 for consideration of revisions to the district's rates, fees, and charges for utility operations and services. And to authorize staff to prepare and place in the appropriate billing the notice of the public hearing and also publish in the newspaper the required notice of public hearing.
Okay, so I have a motion by Carol,
I'll second what
Second.
I should have said.
second by Ed, all in favor?
Aye.
There we go, Tony.
Thank you. We'll
Thank you.
proceed. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
The other
Thank you
Tony.
both, Tony.
Tony H, yes.
Alright. The next item is bond renewal for North Haven. The developer is here if you wish to ask him any questions, but as you recall, within the last year, you approved the North Haven development. We issued the approval, we recorded it, and the request is they don't anticipate construction anytime soon due to the market. And so instead of continuing to expend money to renew the bond, the request is to not have to renew the bond there and that we hold.
What is staff recommendation on this one?
If you choose to allow the developer not to renew, to rescind the approval, and then they would come back at a future date and ask for the approval and we could reissue it, the board could reissue it, and the developer could provide the bond then.
But
Yeah.
they're basically resubmitting the project all over again at a future date.
Yes, because the difficulty is
Yeah, something
the
changes.
reason for the bond is to make sure the infrastructure that's going to come to the district is in fact installed and appropriate. We've run through this before. If if they don't have a bond, they don't renew it and they begin construction. I mean, at some point in time, they're gonna have to come to the district and ask for acceptance of the improvements. But there, that, I'll call it that surety, that guarantee will not be available, that source of funds to do anything.
Flavia,
Remedy it.
Mark is here if you want to.
Yeah.
Him directly.
I will,
Come on up,
I'm
Mark.
gonna move to the, yes,
Um,
just
yeah,
state your name. please.
Mark Ambach, here for the North Haven project, the owner. What I'm asking is not that the bond not go in place. We are fine with the bond going in place. What we're saying is we put the bond, we spent the money up front for the bond, and we anticipated starting construction. And then with everything getting tight in the market and such, it did not happen. All we're asking is since we are not anticipating starting very soon, we'd prefer to hold off that bond. And then before construction starts, 60 days before we have a pre-con, submit the bond. We don't want to have to go through full approval of the plans again and spend that money. All we're saying is don't make us spend $15,000 a year to keep this bond up for the next year or so. And then another 15,000, another, let us just put it in when we're ready to make any improvements prior to making any improvements to the property.
But the difficulty is in policing that, I'll call it.
Is what?
Is in policing that, is to ensure that before construction begins, I'm not questioning Mark's word on this, but some other developer may come along. And then the district will have to constantly monitor to make sure no construction begins and or knock on the door and say, hey, construction's is started because you have your DO from Lee County. And you need to then provide a bond, then we get into a tussle about that. That's the boogeyman approach. That's my.
So what is your recommendation, Tony, to the board?
That we talked about having the district withdraw their approval for
Okay.
the development
I
order
feel,
and make them resubmit from the district's approval and make them reapply if they in fact do not want to renew the bond. I know, so the developer's perspective, it's which one costs more money in time, renewing the bond for the $15,000 premium and freezing the assets for an additional year or two, or resubmitting and going back to the approval process
Which
again.
cost me another $50,000 to resubmit with an engineer and go through all the approvals. It took so long to begin with. It just seems it's a large burden for what I'm asking.
Does the county require you to, when do they require you to provide bond?
There's no requirement on the county for a bond on this. It's just you guys that have the bond
Yeah,
requirement.
there are no, I guess because there are no subdivision
conveying it.
improvements within the scope of the
Right.
county. probably.
And so we would have to have a pre-construction with you anyway before we started. So it's a guarantee that we would make sure that's there,
What did our approval say relative to the start of construction?
I don't know if it had a start date in there. I guess what the alternative might be, I'm just thinking, is
What's the permit criteria manual, something surely had a deal that our approval doesn't say that you can start it in the year 26.
I don't think we put a deadline, but I'd have to go back and look at the permit criteria
Like
manual.
the DO at the county is good with
The
5 years.
ramifications of it, of our approval being questioned by the county or anybody else.
that
This purely was our decision to make.
I can't talk to what the county will do. I mean, but from the standpoint of this, I don't believe there's any time limit on district approval in the district permit criteria manual. That's a good thing to think.
Okay, so, well, for example, typically when you approve the plans and specs, when the county, they give you approval, they give you so many,
5 years.
well, it is 5 years.
5 years.
For the development order.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's on that then.
It's one approach might be for, an agreement where they agree that the district enter into an agreement that and make it a recordable form that the district will allow them to not have to renew the bond for this, but that no activity will commence until they resubmit and get another approval from the district for the development.
The key from a staff perspective is what leverage do we have over the developer in the event that they don't provide us the bond? And the approval process was really the
that's the
piece.
only thing.
The piece. So I think either what Tony just suggested is some type of agreement.
That's recorded in the public
that's- yeah.
record, so that we have an agreement we can always litigate on, not just on the permit criteria manual.
Are you
If
putting a
something goes
time limit
awry.
on that agreement?
I'm sorry,
Are you putting a time limit in that agreement?
time limit in which they need to commence construction,
No, how long does this go?
the board's pleasure.
They could tie it, no, they can't tie it with the DO.
No, we could put in the agreement that if construction doesn't commence, that's just, what is your crystal
Yeah,
ball
what's your
say
plan?
today on the market?
My crystal ball said that rates were coming down by today and they're not. So my crystal ball says.
Listen to that crap coming out of Washington.
Exactly. It's,
So you use the cloudy water for your crystal ball, not the clear.
I think I
water.
used a broken ball. That's what I used.
Possibly I can draft it and bring it back to next board meeting, initial draft, I'd say within 2 years. Is that right?
I think that's.
So we're
fair.
gonna table
Based on
that.
the market and what it
Yeah,
is.
I think that would give us the opportunity, but ultimately I just wanted to get your initial feedback on this and see if you were even open to delaying this or just if we were gonna just require him to keep renewing the bond.
Okay, so let's just table and bring it to the next meeting.
Well, I would suggest if I can get some direction from staff, work with Chelsea, that with regards to the language of being agreement between the developer and the district in recordable form, where the district does not require the present renewal of the bond, and the developer has 2 years in which to either come back with a bond and or resubmit new plans for the development.
So you-
Margaret, are you good
And
with
the
that?
risk for the developer is
You could-
the
yeah.
permit criteria manual may change in the next 2 years.
Yeah, no, I'd be fine with that. And then if, if something wasn't right, I'd have to come and ask for another extension, which you could or could not give if that was the
Correct.
case.
Okay.
And I know the other apartment that was approved to go doesn't have a limit on theirs. They just, they got in before the bond was required or whatever, so.
Okay.
All right, we'll work with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll work with Chelsea and bring that back to the next board. meeting.
It will at a future meeting.
Thank you. You gotta draft it.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. I'll be in touch.
And Mark, I've got your email address, I believe, right?
I
You got it
do.
From Chelsea.
I got it.
Who's your attorney again? I'm trying to think.
Charles.
Oh, Charles Mann?
Mm.
Okay.
We got his
Oh, yeah,
contact.
you can do that.
We don't hear from him as often as we'd
We
like.
know
but-
him. We know
but
him.
We do have his contact.
All right,
Okay, thanks.
thanks, Mark.
All right, the stormwater inspection and repairs. Yeah. Yeah.
We received the proposals. We had a selection advisory committee that recommended to go with, you scroll down.
National Water.
National Water Main. The low bid was Roland I&I, but the repair rates were not provided. Ultimately, we're looking for your direction. We provided 3 options in front of you, so we're looking for your direction on how you would like to proceed with this bid.
Tony, can we do this?
Well, I guess the point in time is we need staff recommendations. Can you scroll up to what they are?
Where?
Yeah, to award, can you go to
It's right there, staff recommendation.
the,
7.
Alternative action?
yeah, award the contract? Because I get, my understanding is that the repair rates were listed, but the actual work the scope has been changing, as I understand it, correct? It's just be the inspection.
It's, that one kind of what was my problem.
Okay.
My problem is that we had a contract that required them to do it, which would make on the basis of the documents, it was a non-responsive bid.
That's
Now
all
what we're doing is saying that perhaps it was questionable about the process of requiring repair bids when it really didn't have a scope of work, that we're basically saying we're nixing it and going back and now saying that considering that we've just done that, now you're responsive again. Can we do that?
Well, no, I think the recommended award is to National Water Main Cleaning Company, who was responsive, correct?
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah, so that's my
but I
understanding.
believe what I'm reading here is we're now going back to award it to the low bidder.
No, that's one of the alternatives, but the staff
Yeah.
recommendation, that's one of the options, but the recommended action is award the contract to National Water. I mean, that's one of the choices y'all have.
Okay. I
So I
see.
think that's the
But-
safest
The
choice.
board can award all apart or not.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so we got to really watch how we word this, because we're going to be into a bid protest real quick like.
Well, we're gonna say exactly what Tony's gonna tell us, right, Tony?
Well, again, you board, the review committee's recommendation was to award the bid to, the question is to reject it because of the scope was different than was requested in the bid package. So the action is to award the contract to National Water Main Cleaning Companies recommended by the proposed review meeting members. And Chelsea, are you fine with that?
Okay,
The 3 options that we listed are,
I just want to make sure I'm on the right page here. Roland Solutions, their bid with nothing in there for repair
That's
is 833.
yes,
National Water bid, if you pull out the repair component of that, how much of that 933
939.
is what?
It's 939. They only provided the actual rates themselves. It's not an actual
Not
total,
repairs.
There's
the
no
repair-
extension.
the repair rates.
Okay,
There's no-
so we had a bid item that did not have an extension. It didn't have a quantity to multiply times the unit price.
I thought the linear feet in those. Wasn't there,
Okay.
Chelsea? I thought.
We had, so
Okay, so then it is an apples and apples comparison. The 939 does compare to the 833.
yes,
Okay,
one provided repair rates, one did not. So again, you could choose to award,
Can we award it without a repair rates?
that
Yes.
is, that's an
those
option, yes.
repair rates they're a joke. My deal is we either go with what she's saying or we throw all the bids out and redo this and do it the right way.
That's an alternative.
That's an alternative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Option 3.
Yeah, I just don't want to see us get into a bid protest, because it will be embarrassing.
I think that would be the cleanest, quite frankly, reject all bids.
Yeah, we can do that.
What'd you say?
Reject all bids and indicate the board's intent to rebid and solicit.
We're getting ready to go into rainy season.
I
so
definitely think that's is
Tetra
clean.
Tech can write the task we can have a task authorization from Tetra Tech to write scope.
So this is not time sensitive.
No, ma'am.
And again, the alternative action 6.3, reject all bids, issue notice of intent to reissue competitive solicitation, or the board can seek to piggyback it off some other entities' contracts.
And that's something we could look into, have Tetra Tech look into as well.
We could piggyback.
Yes, this is the type of work that could be piggyback, yes.
Well,
I move
at
to
this point in time, I just don't know. I've never heard of anybody being able to get or provide to a vendor enough information to get a repair for a item when you don't know where it's at, how deep it is, what the ramifications of it are. I mean, it's almost superfluous information. It doesn't just to help your day along. It's meaningless. What you do is you do a change order once you know what the facts are. So the big deal is that's what I was getting back to. If we think those numbers are real, but I hate you rebid it and Roland may just come back and say, well, 833, I got 939, I got 106,000 to play with. I'll put my bid in for 900,000. And we eat 50, 60,000 bucks.
Okay, so
I
Sarah,
move,
go back to you.
yeah,
Roll the
I
dice.
move to reject all bids and rebid the
I think
project.
that's the safe way.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll ask Tetra Tech for a TA to draft the scope.
I love how you say that.
Not tied
It's
to
like a
another
reminder.
project.
I know you said.
Not tied to another
I
project.
just want to make sure you know how I'm proceeding.
For clarification of the clarification.
Yes, actually, thank you. All right, E.
Okay.
Go ahead. Nancy
So
Bernardo.
this is we negotiated with RWA, gentleman is here representing. We're looking to award to RWA and enter into this.
Actually, RWA is ranked number 1 to authorize negotiation, and so we're coming back with a contract where the terms and rates have been negotiated and agreed upon by staff in
Yes.
recommending the contract.
Well, this would really blew my mind also. I thought that what it was coming back was with a dollar value for the service at hand, which is the preparation of this study that we need for irrigation. We don't have that. All we have is basically rates and charges for a scope of a project yet to be determined, is I guess where we're at.
Yes, just like with the district engineer, we get a generic basic contract with them with the rates. And then we ask for different task authorizations for those different projects. So if this is approved, we'll enter into the contract with RWA. And then my next request of them would be, hey, we need to do a scoping for the irrigation replacement. And they'll-
Which is the project at hand.
Yes,
Okay.
so I'm looking for approval.
She's looking for a motion. So I'll make a motion to approve staff's.
We go
Approve the professional services agreement that's in the agenda packet with the schedules of rates, fees, and charges.
From RWA.
Yes,
With RWA.
yes.
So that's my motion.
Second.
Motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming. All right,
Monuments on State Road 82 and Gateway Boulevard.
do you mind if we just introduce the
No, go
gentleman from RWA? Come on up.
Good afternoon. My name is James McCord. I'm the Director of Landscape Architecture, and I'll be your project director for your landscape services here. And thank you for this opportunity. I've been doing irrigation work for 20-something years in design and another 15 years in construction. So we're going to give you guys a really good project. Some is going to last a long time, and some is going to be very, very efficient.
Do you, do you have,
You have your work cut out for you.
do you have a good solution for not watering the roads?
Y'all see them
That's one of
oak
our
trees?
Yeah.
Main requirement,
they're
not to
going-
water the roads.
Well, we'll do our best. I mean, you can't help when cars run over things. So that's a lot of
I'm
this.
glad you awarded the contract
We,
first.
we have been often told that the irrigation system is like a bowl of spaghetti. Are you good at spaghetti?
I'll help you with the meatballs. No, but there are a lot of things. I spent 4 years running Collier County's 122 miles of their irrigation. And there was a lot of things that came in and it changed. And we already dropped their water consumption significantly. Before I came in there, they had already doubled their water consumption, and we cut back, probably saving them at least $50,000 in water cost in just a year's time. And now they're even getting more and more. So they're doing more and more recommendations, which is going to
What
bring
system
down.
did you use?
It's Motorola, I know that you guys are talking about baseline. Motorola made baseline and sold it to Vantage Point. So they're real similar. Motorola's a lot larger scale. And people like Boca Raton uses it, Universal Studios uses it. I ran it for 4 years, including the servers.
That sounds expensive.
So do you think is the
Yeah.
I think
opportunity?
that
Is it,
sounds expensive.
I just put in a $500,000 baseline system. So
Yeah,
I'm very familiar
they're
with it.
not the cheapest by any means, but
Oh, it sounds very.
but they offer your public works department so much flexibility and so much information.
well, that's what I was going to ask. Is it,
We've
is it
had
the-
30
is the
years
oppor-
of cheap.
Yeah,
Is the opportunity, is it just better design, or is it just today's technology just gives you so much
well, it's
more
funny.
efficiency?
It's funny, the Motorola is an old system, but developed in Israel for where they have no water. So, but the technology has really helped out. But the big thing is design has got a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Because if you design a bad system, you're going to get bad results, and that's what unfortunately happens. And you guys will get a good design, because I'm going to be monitoring it that myself. And I've got a lot of certifications nationwide, which I don't have to be required to as a landscape architect. I can design it, but I wanted to show people that I could actually design it. So
Keep in mind, this has got a good news, bad news component. We got a contract that we got to use every drop of water coming out of this sucker.
I was thinking about that when he was saying. like,
Every
swimming.
drop. And when he comes
Saving
in
water.
over at my community,
Demand is fine.
in the last 4-month period, we using the baseline, our usage has really dropped down because of ground sensing and everything else. All of the valves, everything's all new. We just don't have those problems now.
Right.
Here, we start saving that water. We got to have a place to put
I
that
know.
water,
I mean,
which means that FPL easement spillover is critical to this.
the
We got-
days of relying on broken sprinkler heads to drop a couple 100,000 gallons, those days past. I have a question. So is scope for this, does it also include all of our parks and rec facilities?
Right now, based on the funding that was available as part of the bond, it's just the right of way areas. It's not the actual different amenities.
Well, when they're
And
doing-
I think it does not include Griffin as well. in addition
Well,
to-
well, no, wait a
Oh,
minute, we
you
gotta
did.
watch this. When we do this, especially if you're gonna do a linear system, we want to make sure where all the demands are going to be, so that we make sure we get these controllers in the right spot. So if we have places that maybe we're not serving immediately, but we're going to serve, we want to make sure that piping and all that stuff is sized to handle.
Design will be for all inclusive is my intent. But the actual construction of like the soccer complex, we don't have that right now.
We'd have to phase, that would be
Yeah.
phased.
since we're looking at, I mean, we had a little get to know each other meeting, and came by to talk to your staff to see what they're looking for and see what capabilities they had, because our goal is to take what you guys got or what they use, cartograph, these GIS things, and incorporate all this information where they can sit there and have their phones pull up flows and everything they need to know about the system, work orders and all that kind of stuff. But the first thing is, I mean, when we design the system, we're gonna have to design for max build out.
And we're talking about a master plan, right?
Yeah.
Master plan,
Yeah.
but with a phase.
Well, what the base system is going to have to go in complete. But what you don't have to do is to do these subcomponents like we're
Right.
talking about the park.
Yeah.
You just want to be able to make sure
Yeah.
that the water that comes from A can get to
Yeah.
C
I
and
just-
D and E.
I just want to make sure we are talking about a master plan.
Yeah.
You know, okay.
Yeah, and for clarification also, the anticipated project listed in here and part of the scope was is the irrigation system. But the way the contract reads, the way it was solicited was for any landscape architectural services.
Yeah.
For a period of 3 years and be task authorization,
Yes.
like Chelsea mentioned, comparable to the district engineer.
Well, there's a whole bunch of side issues we're gonna have where we have needs on
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
And then it's covered within the scope of this
Total.
agreement.
But right now, our problem is our current base system is worthless.
And when we go through and digitize everything so we can put it in their cartograph so they can have things zoned out, we'll have good ideas of areas and coverages based on, you know, turf and beds and so, and then come up with, you know, needs and we'll have good water demand and compare it to what you actually have and then compare it to what you can actually provide. And then we'll also look at, because since Lee County was nice enough to make us that one water day a week for about 6 months, we'll look at that and come up with strategic ways to keep everything looking good and be able to put out that amount of water. So we're gonna maybe look at efficient ways that don't fall into those
For growing.
requirements like drip and stuff for your beds. And so we can have the days that you're restricted to cover your turf and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff. We've already been kind of talking a little bit, but not getting into any major detail, but just getting a feel for what you guys were looking for and what you need to make sure that we do provide that for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you for.
It's good to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
Back to monuments.
yep, go back. So, you recall a couple meetings ago, Margaret Feinberg from Stony Brook HOA came in. We were kind of going back and forth on what part of the State Road 82 and Gateway Boulevard Monument. Do we want to do all, part, panel to panel, face to face? Their HOA met, provided if you can go to I think it's the first exhibit. Nope, next one. This is what they provided that their HOA wanted to provide an easement to us for. So what I did, JT was kind enough to provide aerial photography in case you weren't able to get out there. So that was the first picture that we had. What I did was I asked Grady Minor for a cost for sketch and legal description. That's attached. If the board wishes to accept an easement for everything highlighted in the pink, the survey attached quantifies that. If not, I will go back to Grady Minor, but Stony Brook's looking to turn over that entire pink monument.
Here's that 15, that footage deal we got into in the owner comments. Where are we at here?
This is, I believe this is well beyond that 15 feet.
That's what I thought too.
This is totally within that parcel.
And this isn't, I mean, you said
Is it a
JT
parcel?
aerial photo. This is not.
No, go to.
Yeah, no, go back to the other one, yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
That's the area.
That's it.
That's the, yeah.
So
But my point is this, any of this touching the 15 feet or is it all in the 15?
without having the survey done,
We
it's
don't
hard
know.
to tell. But the 100-foot right of way plus 15 feet, and like you said earlier, is that in access? Is that utilities? Is that
So I don't know what type of easement it is.
landscape? The surveyor, when they do the sketch and legal, we can get that.
So what are we talking about?
Do you want to take the entire monument? And
It
if,
is not the entire monument, just the pink area, because the entire monument will go all the way down, because I don't know why they.
I agree with the pink area.
Yeah.
if you are in agreement with that, I will proceed with sketch and legal and work with Tony on drafting an easement document to work with to get to the HOA to have them approve and then us approve.
But
When you go outside this pink area, you basically go to a fence. Is that correct?
yeah, so on the left-hand side,
Yeah.
that's fencing and the,
Go back.
So
Same thing on the right.
So the monument component is the pink.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's. a
you know,
better
so this is
picture.
the circle and there's area in the middle. Are we saying around that area and this, you know, including the circumference?
I would just take the actual.
No, just the
Okay,
monument.
so
that's
whatever's in the
it.
middle that, you know,
That's
whatever
Stony
the,
Brook. But
Yeah.
stay
So
with
my,
them.
so my question to you would be, you want the monument, you want landscaping, and you want irrigation. Do you want lighting? Those are the
Yeah,
four
I
things.
think you have
You
to
have
have
to.
lighting.
I just want to be clear
Okay.
that that's what we're working towards. So-
Is there
It's
lighting
also
right
the
now?
lease.
Yes,
But now the question is, do you want to wait until everything gets repaired until it's acceptable standards by the district and then accept the easement? Or do you want us to take it as is and have to throw in a bunch of money into it to make repairs?
I visited last month. There are, it was painted and that was it. Like, there's a lot of, like, it needs some repair, like the back wall, like it needs some attention.
What is it, concrete?
It's concrete, but it has water intrusion from the top and it went all the way down, so it bubbled up. So it needs the actual repairs, like,
Have we, has somebody give us an idea of what we're looking at?
I
price-wise?
have not, because it's not our monument.
But haven't we been operating as it being our monument?
and all we got every year was pressure cleaning and paint. That's it.
So-
But I'm saying,
Pressure
if we've
cleaning
been,
every year and then paint every 3, so.
just, just to be a
Yeah.
little devil's advocate, if we've been operating as this is a gateway asset for, for the last, I don't know how many years.
It's our entrance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shouldn't we just,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we should be responsible. I think it's, I don't know. Going back and asking Stony Brook to,
Not this.
it doesn't
No.
sit right to me.
Right.
Well,
It's
and
gonna
then,
be a part of our monument. It's a part of our monument.
and then do we split the
Right.
cost for the survey and Tony's time to draft the easement, or do we put that onus on them?
How much is that?
I think it's like $400 for it's on it's quoted on here.
I think we just take that.
Nickel and
I
dime.
mean, it's beneficial to us.
Yeah, beneficial to the district as a whole.
Oh,
Let's figure out the whole-
This
Sorry,
entry
it's
feature-
$2,150. And then sketch and descriptions, another 700, so $3,000.
So how about this? How about we take as is with them making no repairs and then they would just take that one-time cost?
If they're open to it.
But we take it as it is. I don't want this.
Or if they can provide a sketch and legal at a more reasonable price, but this is who we use for.
Yeah, and I would suggest also, it's a simple lease also of the
Of the,
area we're going to, of the monument. And the lights and all that, so that'd be part of it. They're real simple.
So do you want me to make the
you
request?
stay real
I can
simple.
do it real
The more you talk, the more simple, yes.
Would you like me to make the request of them to pay for the sketch and legal?
And then turn the monument as is. I know you can't speak on behalf of all of them, but do you want to come up to the mic and have your 2 cents? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, and I usually don't do that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm nodding my head in agreement on a number of issues. I mean, seriously, I've been around this number of times. With the broken lights, electrical, you have to repair. On the other side of the monument that's facing Stony
You
Brook,
saw
the
it.
electrical outlets have to be covered. They're not covered right now. So it's really vandalism that happened up there. But on the other, outside of the monument, it's just the broken lights. I think you've seen that flop.
Yeah, I have.
And, just up
So I-
on it. It's all it
Yes, I
boils
was
down.
thinking it would be fair for us to take all the report costs and just don't ask them for anything, but then,
They pay for the easement document.
yeah, I mean, it would be fair for all residents in Gateway, we're just not paying for it and then paying for the repairs. So I
Okay.
think we take the repair, that's my suggestion. We take the repair cost and they do a one-time payment of, yes, Tony.
It'd be repairs and maintenance only, not capital. If anything else major happens to it, like a fall over.
Yeah, it'll fall over tomorrow.
So is that?
Don't be touching that thing, okay?
That's board
Don't lean on it.
That is-
Yeah.
Do what?
Yeah, I
Board
think we
director.
agree.
Yeah,
That's
that's-
order.
Okay.
Okay,
Alright.
wait a minute. Why are we asking them to pay for the survey and stuff when we're the ones that want the easement?
Because we're not asking them to repair and give us in a good condition of the easement and we,
But
And I would
we've been
say it a little
operating
differently.
as if it's been ours anyway.
Right,
You're
but-
just legalizing what is already there.
But I think what we're saying, I think in good faith, what we're saying is, yes, we've been operating, but it's still a Stony Brook asset. We want to take it over, but Stony Brook needs to show, through the survey, exactly what we're taking. So it's better for them to conduct a survey. So we can assume that asset as opposed to, we're telling them what we're taking as opposed to them funding the survey and then saying, this is our asset, this is what we're allowing you to take over.
Isn't this our person who's doing the survey?
No,
no, and then like Chelsea said, if they find somebody that can do it cheaper, then they can do that too.
yeah.
I think it's a win-win.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
All right, I will.
why you guys are agreeing to, to pay for the survey.
Monument itself, all repairs and things like that were known on the outside, been taken care of.
Which we said we'll absorb.
Yeah.
I will reach out to their entire board.
Okay.
All right. The next item is the timeline. So internally with Tetra Tech, Tony, myself, Paul Montez, we've been working through the board's direction to keep the site work improvements for the park included with the admin building construction. I think we've got a timeline that is currently was posted with the last addendum. So I wanted to bring this to your attention that this is the tentative timeline that we have. Ultimately, we've been discussing different bid holds and things like that. But what I think that we're going to do is just issue 2 NTPs. The first notice to proceed would be for the building. And then once we got the development order for the park stuff, which we anticipate to be hopefully by calendar year end, we would issue the second NTP for the park stuff. So I just wanted to bring this in front of you and make sure that we're still.
And this is not only staff's approach, but engineering.
Yeah.
Tetra Tech's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in order to fulfill what the board has directed to keep both in tandem, this is what we've discussed as the best foot forward. So we could
in
have.
conjunction with Homont is.
Yes, yes. Okay. So,
and so what happened with at the last meeting, there was an issue of two contractors for the park thing. What happened with
we
that?
anticipate having one contract award. We would issue 2 notices to proceed. Grady Minor, Eric alluded to earlier, they've had some internal changes. So Holmontes has taken over this as the successor engineer for the site work.
Oh, okay.
We're working through the change orders with Tetra Tech because Holmontes was a sub of Tetra Tech. We also have to work through some change orders with Tetra Tech on the admin building side because Grady Minor is no longer going to be the engineer of record for the site work. So Eric is working diligently on that. So you'll see those come in front of you. But with this timeline, we could have bids as early as July 16th and then bring it to you guys soon thereafter.
I thought there was an issue with the county also.
We applied for the permits this week.
Are you talking about the issue the county was having, not allowing them to switch or to have two different engineers, one start and one finish?
Where Rick has now taken over, Rick with Holmontes as Barlansky has taken over the whole project as successor engineer, there's no longer an issue.
Oh, okay.
So we've done a lot of homework.
And Chelsea, should the word anticipated also being inserted in front of effective date, phase 1 notice to proceed?
Yes.
So that'll all be anticipated.
Yeah.
Okay, it could be different.
So the phase 1 NTP is just essentially for the building.
Yes, sir.
The other one is when we can get it, and the drop dead date is December 31st.
Yes, sir. If not sooner. So we've already applied for the ERP with South Florida, and Holmont has already submitted the DO amendment this week to the county. So clock's ticking.
So the only thing that the contractor is really holding his prices on are the components associated with the $250,000 of site work associated with the park.
Yep.
Is our new vendor involved in the irrigation at all? The irrigation plan there, or is that will be completely separate?
Well, we just got the new vendor, so I will make sure that he touches base with Holmontes since they have a landscape architect that's been doing the design for the irrigation of the admin building.
So if we're putting something in new that's substantial, we should be.
He's going to need to know is where's the connection point.
Yeah.
That's all he really needs.
And we've provided.
But what I mean too is, if he has a recommendation on what we should be using, that will stay in line with whatever we're maybe looking to migrate to in the future. You know what I mean?
Well,
Upgrade hardware.
I think you're going to be better off if you take this water up to a point to where our internal irrigation system that's being designed to handle this is done. Because he is a long way from being to that point.
Yeah, well, but I guess my point is, let's design for where we want to be in 2 years.
Yeah.
Just the big thing is to make sure that he knows that we got a water point that has to be taken care of at that area.
Yes, there's already one there. We already have irrigation at the commons, so we already know where the point is. If we do a new tap on Gateway, it is what it is.
Okay, let's just the records reflect that Bob Gepper is in attendance.
Got here about 4:15. I noted it on the attendance sheet.
Thank you.
All right, any questions for the timeline for the admin building?
No.
You came just in time for budget, huh?
So the bid opening is on July 16th.
As of right now, yes. That's what it's anticipated.
What did that mean?
As long as we don't have any other addendums to change the timeline.
Okay, so next item is
Budget.
budget. So Laura, you have,
I have, I have one item from our earlier discussion, and that was to change the retirement contribution to 5% from 3%, just for purposes of the high water mark. Staff has been tasked with coming back with a plan to make suggestions to alter that, but the easiest way to just apply it across the board to make sure we are covered for all areas was to change it from 3 to 5.
Did you,
Okay.
did Stephen run the impact of that on the numbers?
He did not. I will. As soon as I update it. I didn't ask him to make any changes.
Okay, so
I have the sheet that does all the calculations, so I can do that myself.
if we add that in, I guess my question
I
is.
just wanted to see what it would look
What's the
like.
high water mark?
It'll take me a little bit to do it. I mean, because there are multiple places. Yeah, there are multiple places that I need to apply that. I can't just put it in one spot.
okay. Don't we need it today to put a public hearing?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
we had to vote on a high water mark today, which would be
'Cause
the
it's gonna
dollar
be-
bill
yeah, it's
value,
gonna be
which would be inclusive of this.
So
Yes, I would like to reduce the reserves in the O2 budget,
What page?
the
Carol?
Pelican Preserve budget by $103,000.
Carol, I just want to clarify, we're not getting 103 exactly. It's like 102 and some change back from that Impress account. So I just wanted to be clear that that's not the expectation from the HOA.
Where's this that she's referring to? What page are we on of the budget?
it's just a reduction on the reserve.
you
It's
do
not
that?
in the budget. It's. Correct, Carol?
So what's it
Correct.
got to do with this then, of the high water mark?
I think they had 350,000. And there was the figure for
Is it
their
easier to
reserve
figure?
account.
I'm getting
Just-
there.
And I'd like to reduce that
I'm
by,
trying to Find the page.
and I'll stick with my 103. It's close enough to 102, whatever.
It's not here.
So right here,
What
if
was
you
the-
see right here, they're contributing 350. She wants to reduce that by 103 to make it 247.
What page you on?
540, well, the packet 548.
No, I got the new book.
It's you.
Pelican,
Yeah.
It'd be under the O2 account.
I'm trying to
It's page
find it.
25,
Page 25, thank you.
$5.
Oh, that 300?
350.
Because you've got 103 rolling in.
Which we will actually have this year.
Oh, it's that.
So when it
This
comes in,
budget-
it will roll into reserves,
Okay, gotcha.
right? So
Well, it will be deposited in the O2 account and then it will move into the unappropriated
Yeah, okay.
reserves. Unallocated? What do they call it?
Unassigned.
Unassigned, thank you.
Unassigned.
Unassigned reserves.
So to do that, then you gotta crunch the numbers to know what the high water mark is.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
going in circles. Where's Steven at to crunch these numbers?
Well,
So you're taking 350 to what, Carol?
I don't disagree where it's gonna come from. I agree with Carol. It's gonna be reduced. But the 350 number is a bogus number anyway. It was just sort of a number we threw out. When P-PAC has their next meeting, it's gonna be greatly
247.
refined and refined
247.
downward.
247?
So,
You know, for
so
high
Bob,
water
does it
mark-
make sense?
But Bob, we're voting on this today.
Well, just the high water.
247.
But I know with high water mark. This vote doesn't, in my opinion.
But
mean it.
this
There's
is,
more to come.
this is the
I
number
know.
that the residents are gonna see.
Yeah, but not what
When
they're
they
gonna-
get that letter in August,
Just like we did it prior years.
247.
Okay, so can we make that adjustment?
she's working on the 5% right now.
Okay.
So we all agree to do that? Cause I do not agree to.
Okay, so
And your pushback on that is what, Bob, just so we.
Well, it's a, first of all, it's a phony number. It's a number. It was 750 at the last PPAC meeting. They know they're gonna address it. We compromised the 350 merely to get a high water mark number out. Now, it's gonna be a little bit shocking. I mean, people are gonna see it, oh my God, we're gonna go 11% or 9% or whatever, and that's not true either. But we have to have a high water mark. This just happens to be what it is.
So you wanna keep it at 350 and
No,
lower when you actually have the right numbers? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm really saying is, short of PPAC making that recommendation, I would like to not do anything. I agree, we're gonna get there,
Yeah.
but short of PPAC, this is the number.
You think
PPAC
it's
generated.
you think it's premature? Just keep it a higher number and
Well-
come it down?
I'm trying to support what I thought I heard.
Well, here's the question that we should be asking is if the number's 350 today and we pull 103 to get it 247, is there any chance that when PPAC comes back with their numbers, that number's going to be higher than 247?
No, but it's their, my nickel's worth is, it's their opinion to do that. They had discussions about this. And I'm not trying to undercut what Carol's doing. I know we're gonna get there, but this isn't the time to do it.
I would like to have the least amount of sticker shock as possible for the property owner.
And I don't disagree with you, but the decision that PPAC
And
was that that's what they were going.
The money is there, so.
Can I ask a question on the site?
Excuse me.
When this is
Yeah,
Ed,
yeah,
Ed Hedges
okay.
from PPAC, from the high water mark budget, you can reduce, is that the total that can be reduced, or is each line item?
Each line item can be reduced.
You can't move from one line item to another?
You can move it down. The total number is what's set.
The total number's what's set. Okay,
It's the assessment per unit.
And you cannot go higher than that. You can
That's
go
correct.
lower
okay.
by whatever amount you want to, but you cannot go
So
higher.
you could jiggle, if you would change your mind, you could still get there by jiggling something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can move a line.
I'm more
from
comfortable with what
100,000
Carol's
to
throwing out, because we've been thinking about how we're gonna try to fund all this stuff that wasn't at our last meeting, but
So then you would have
This is
kept it,
something
so
new.
then you would have kept, if that's the case, then you would have kept it at 350 as to Doug's point. And then because
That's a
it's
wiggle
what-
room.
it's a wiggle room,
Yeah.
so.
And in
I-
June, they're gonna
yeah.
adjust it down.
So I didn't know that they have more items that they are planning.
Well, there's a lot.
So
there's
you
a
wanna
lot.
keep it?
How many?
I would like the least sticker shock for the people in Pelican as
Just want them
possible.
not to look
How
at
many-
it, Carol.
How many ERUs?
I
are
mean,
in
it's
Pelican?
not like I think this
24,
money is gonna
98.
come in.
We're talking about
Money is
$5
here.
frickin' dollars.
Let's reduce it now.
Yeah,
Again, I'm not arguing about the.
$5.
I know.
Well, the one
Is
thing
Bill
that
Guy back here again?
the
Yeah.
only thing that I would say is when
Jesus.
it comes to these types of items, we normally get the guidance from either from
The
PPAC
communities.
or the communities.
Yeah.
I mean,
Your point's well taken.
yeah, exactly. Your point's well taken.
So then I'm inclined to keep it at the 350 for the high water mark. Is that what do we want to do?
That's what my nickel.
Carol, I appreciate the concern for all the phone calls that we're gonna get. Thank
Yep,
you.
we're all gonna get them.
I'm gonna direct them all to Bob.
I can handle it for $5.
Okay.
Right, the bottom number.
So
Yes,
we just need to
yes.
give Laura direction. We keep it at 350 or 247? Bob, 350?
350.
Ed, 350?
350. Just gives you wiggle room.
I'm fine either way.
245, 247.
Okay, and I'll go with
What was
Yeah, I mean,
350.
yeah, it's, and
less conscious?
honestly, just for today's map, it would probably be easier just to have Laura focus on that
One
one
thing,
Yeah.
thing.
okay.
Yes, yes,
And then
yes.
have to recalculate.
So the decision was
350.
350, yeah, 350.
Thank you.
So Chelsea, or is this a revised version? Yeah,
From the packet that was published, she's crunching the 5% now, so we can give the board
The
the
final one.
updated.
okay. And it'll be number revision,
Three.
It'll
version
be-
3.
yeah.
Page day, okay. Thank you.
Y'all see the steam? She's crunching.
Yeah, you might know you'd pick a number that has to be split among
Yeah, you
18
took the
million
hardest
different
one.
deals.
Think of five
It's the
and three?
worst thing.
Yeah, if you don't mind. if you
Yeah,
can take
so
a 5
then I
minute-
don't want to give her yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, maybe 10.
And what is the total ballpark?
popcorn?
What's the total value of this? Would you
Oh.
say the total value of this is $50,000, something like that? 29.
26 now.
Popcorn machine like.
We're talking about, hang on. On the rate.
see 11 petunias. You know.
But it's not.
My garden, my garden,
It's not going so bad.
my 11 petunias.
But when we see the 11 petunias.
Oh, my God. Okay, you guys are over the top.
We're talking about petunias.
You laugh because you.
We have to-
Well, I think the other garden will have
The brewery
22
time, we'll have to
petunias.
do it now, so we
I
can-
know it's gonna have big ones.
What's
Too much fertilizer running around here.
Oh, tons.
Oh, you guys are gonna age me. more than I wanted.
We haven't got to that. They came and talked. But we've got to talk about that yet.
Is it illegal? Yes.
See it when it's taken on. See-
And because we're all feeling, we look at.
See, kind of get through, everyone else would be on the table.
I just thought about we were setting.
I think we're ready.
Ready? Okay, Laura, what is our number? So new number is 12,818. Hold on.
Oh, isn't that the number that-
While I asked you, I go, hold on.
and isn't that the number you said earlier?
It was 12, it was,
12:15.
it was 12:18
Yeah.
and now it's 12:08. And so for multifamily, it's up on the screen in front of you too, if you
Oh.
want to look. And it is 962.84. Stony Brook's is 1704.62. And then here's the commercial.
Yeah. I don't think it was worth
And
the
what's
calculation.
Well, the only important
No,
number is to
nothing.
change to
Oh,
Pelican.
okay.
Okay,
No, nothing's gonna change to Pelican yet because.
well, it will because there's,
$4, it was $4.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So there's this, I didn't make the changes. This is only with the change to the retirement amount. It's the only change that I've made to the budget and Steven checked my numbers, so.
Okay, perfect.
And that will not affect Pelican?
It will because you have staff
Okay, so what's the Pelican number?
and it's right here.
The 1125.29 is the Pelican number?
1152.21 and
It was
1296.
12.20.
This is for fiscal 24. That's the current year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're looking at this one here, the colored one. So it's 1152.21 and 1296.45
And a 15.2% change.
for single family and 16.5 for multi.
So there's one up, $1.50.
So that's all in, that's operations and bond. That's the all in number.
No, ours went up almost 500,000. From the 3,445,000 to the 3,978,000. Almost $500,000.
Per household is down here, be 163.01 for
Listen to this.
multifamily and 171.16 for single.
She's talking about the one above,
Yeah, the total.
the total.
Yeah,
Between 24 and 25.
correct.
Right.
All right, so we don't have any more discussions on this and want to go ahead and approve it and set a
This is
public
version
hearing,
3.
version 3?
Yes,
And you're gonna call this version?
this is version 3.
3.
Yes.
You'll have a version and you take,
And then we'll have.
It
another
has
one.
its
So
version
what-
3
what did
dated
we Like
6
last year, 4
Five.
versions.
we got to 5.
And
Did we get 5 last year?
Yeah.
adopt resolution 2024-13.
We got
Okay, I was gonna go to that next. So, okay, so,
In tandem with that is the resolution.
Yes.
Okay.
all right, so I need a motion for approval of the resolution 2024-13.
So H and I kind of go together.
In version 3 of the budget, and the time is fine at 6 PM. August 15th.
The 16.5 is what our residents are gonna see.
On the letter, they'll see this down here.
That money, but
The
the
15.2 is what they're gonna see.
Yes.
Or 16.5.
Single
Yeah,
Single family,
this is the chart that will be in the letter.
Number.
this number right.
And what's the resolution number?
It is
Going to go between
2413, yep.
24 and this
2024-13.
one. almost half a
Do we
million.
have that here?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. 530.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes, I do need to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-13 with the revised numbers given to us by staff.
And I'll second.
August 15th.
And approving the budget version 3.
Would you say?
Approved budget for August 15th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ed, a second by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
So 4-1.
All right, we are set to have a public hearing at 5 p.m. Oh, does it say 3? Oh, okay, then we can do it then. Excellent.
Are we good then?
Pretty sure it's fine.
Do you want me to keep going, Tony?
Yes, bear with me just a second. Let me pull up.
Oh.
Notice. Which is in.
Was it anywhere stating there was a 5?
Hold on,
So I want to make
Looking at the
sure.
affidavit of public hearing.
I don't want to,
One of the documents
hold on.
attached, but I didn't copy it, so I don't know what it
It
said.
does the.
I don't mind waiting 10 minutes.
3 p.m.
At 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as possible.
Okay, perfect.
So that's in the notice.
So we can go.
All right.
So the question is, motion to open the public hearing?
Yes, so can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I so move.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is now open.
Are there any public comments, Laura, that have been submitted electronically by fax, email, letter,
No,
otherwise email? No?
nope.
And no, has anyone signed up to speak on this topic?
Just a second. I don't have anyone in-house and there is no one online with their hand raised.
And Madam Chair, we attached this included is the amended notice of public hearing for today's hearing with the revised, amended, established new proposed rates, fees and charges for various services and facilities. And the board can now close the public hearing and take action as appropriate. And that could be to adopt resolution adopting the revised fee schedule.
This one is 2020, what is 2024-12?
Yes, and the attached exhibit A in the agenda packet is the revised fee schedule.
So moved.
Do we have a motion? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Fees updated in Facilitron.
Thank you.
All right.
Agenda management? Oh, wait, district manager, do you have anything?
I do not have anything.
Tony?
No, nothing further unless there's any questions.
Future board business?
I have a mouse, so I can try while you do what you have to do.
No.
So with agenda management, just as a reminder that we have the town hall meeting scheduled at the Gateway Church on June 26th. I believe Randy sent out an email invite to
Okay.
you all.
We canceled 4th of July.
Yes.
Yes, we canceled the 4th of July. And then what we're doing is we're working on scheduling all of the President's Council meetings a year in advance with the locations. That way and we can do one legal advertisement for those. And then that way everybody can put them on their calendar. But today was a heavy meeting. That's why you see this agenda is lighter. One of the things I want to bring to your attention. So at one of your last meetings, you asked for the PPERT agreement to be at today's meeting. And speaking with Jim Bollinger, a representative of the Pelican Preserve Community Association's HOA board, their legal team did not have enough time to review it for today's deadline. We should have it in front of you on June 20th, which I know is a directive of the board. So
Do we have any idea of what those dates are of the president's meeting?
I do. I'll have Georgia send them out to you tomorrow.
And Georgia send the actual invites,
Yes,
calendar invites.
yes. I believe Randy sent them for the town hall meeting, but we'll get them an actual meeting calendar invite for those.
What about the survey?
The survey, I think they're mailing it out, or it's already been mailed out. It's live, it's open.
I put it live yesterday.
Did it go mailed?
Yeah,
Regular mail?
postcard, yep. Panther Printing was the one who was doing that for us. We approved the proof and provided them the mailing addresses of all of the property owners that pay into the Parks and Rec Fund.
The survey is set to close July 5th at 9 p.m. per Frank director.
Oh, if you look right here, here are the President's Council workshop dates. So we've got October 29th in Arborwood. We've got January 29th in Stony Brook.
No, oh,
And we've got July 31st in Hampton Park. We're working on Gateway.
25.
Yeah, we're working on Gateway,
I just couldn't read it as well.
At July 31st at where?
Hampton Park.
Hampton.
And at the last one, I think we're working on Gateway Greens. We have to pay there though.
So just talk to Ed.
You're talking about at the country club?
Yeah. All right, one of the things,
And we're gonna throw one at Pelican also, right?
uh,
I didn't see it on there. I know we did it last year.
Pelican's coming up here,
Pelican's in here, the
July something.
July, right here, the July 23rd.
The other one's July next year.
Oh, I thought, okay, all right.
Sorry.
July 20.
Yeah, that's it. That's a PP.
Here, the committee, something new is the district priorities. This was just the list that I had out and what I thought to believe was the priorities. And if you want to take a minute to peruse this, and if you want for us to rearrange this, we can. I just threw them all on there, identified the department and the lead. Again, this will help staff moving forward with what you believe to be the top priority.
I just think irrigation should be pushed up a little bit, but
This,
I mean, some of these are like,
16.
Where's pond 125?
that pond
That
is
what we
in
talked about.
25, the 25.
That's in the
I thought we said we were gonna
25.
start this next,
Like coming around
week.
now, yeah. Why does it say 25?
That FY 25 ponds.
Oh, it's two different line items, Ed.
Yeah.
It's two different things. You just,
okay, so.
one is one thing and then.
So pond 125 that we were talking about the other day, where the people were asking about that.
That was that's the FY 24 ponds. That one's in the
Oh,
FY
okay,
24.
okay.
So MRI is doing that. They're supposed to be starting.
So that's,
Yeah, we need
that's
to-
a line item 3.
I looked at that
Yes.
bank today. It is
That's-
horrible,
They're doing 125.
immensely horrible.
Yeah. So we actually have a pre-con with them scheduled, I think,
Okay,
next
that's
week.
what I thought you said.
So there's nothing on here for Pelican.
Or
Most of your projects have already been completed for the year. Breno just got finished. I mean, these are big ticket projects, not necessarily the day-to-day operations.
well, Pelican's gonna do a couple of roofs next year.
Daniel's been knocking
They're
them
also
out.
doing lake bank replenishment, but we don't need,
So you're saying this
What-
is where the district should be, people should be spending their time then?
These are the projects that Pelican is on here, or maybe not. Pond 36 is not on here. I will add that. I apologize. I thought it was.
Carol, we were flying high. We get
Pond 36 is in what?
Pelican.
Yeah, I know it's a
next
Pelican,
month. It can start this month.
but it's not one of our SRF funded deals.
No,
no,
that's
no.
self-funded.
Yeah.
No.
So that's really the
can't
only,
afford us.
that's the only big ticket item that I see right now for Pelican,
That and the roads.
which we pretty much completed.
Yeah.
There's nothing else queued up right now.
yeah, I mean, it's a good list.
Okay.
I don't,
I agree with Doug, that irrigation system
This,
really is on its last leg.
I mean, we're working on it. It's just,
I mean, honestly, where I put the cutoff is what are your top 10, what are your top 20?
Okay.
And that's
Yeah,
just from
put it in
a,
the top
that's
10.
just from a sequencing and priority perspective. So we could split hairs all day long trying to put these 1 through 10.
well, it just helps me gauge with staff what your top priorities are. So that, I mean, all of these projects are ongoing. That gives you an idea. So,
I thought the meter replacement was more a higher priority to you guys, but I guess not.
Well, the only reason why the meter replacement isn't higher is because we're not at failure right now. We will,
Close to it.
yeah, we have, I mean, honestly, we probably have a couple of years that we could stay with the existing meter system.
And we got to evaluate the 3 pilots.
yeah,
So
it's that
it's a
one-
priority, but I think it's
in process of being reviewed by SRF. So it's not like we're actively working on something right now. That's why it's lower. It is a top priority, absolutely. for a utility fund, that's money, that's revenue. Both profit and loss. So, again, this is just on a meeting to meeting basis, you know, what we're working on, top things we're
Sure.
working on. If you want something to move up, we can do that.
But having said that, we're still going to have the 3 pilot projects, 3
Yes.
different companies
Yes,
in the fiscal 25,
Yes.
24, 25. Okay.
if not sooner,
Okay.
if not sooner.
Then I'm good with it.
All right, any other comments for this district priorities list?
No, but it was about a year ago that Florida Power and Light made the presentation and the board voted to go that way and all that sort of stuff. But I've heard nothing since.
They're actually starting, they're starting. So they've mobilized and they've started placing some of the poles, storing them on the FPL easement. And I anticipate them to start there. They were actually waiting on the easement document that you guys approved today in consent agenda item A. They needed that in order to move forward with the project as a whole, because that portion was tied in with the Griffin. So I expect them to start mid-July.
But I thought we were gonna get a report before that as to exactly how much this was gonna cost and how much it was gonna save us.
That's the thing I'm uncomfortable with. I still don't have in my own head. What are we spending? What are we saving? What's the long term? I know I heard that it's gonna be a good deal for us and over time it's gonna save us money. And I'm looking at that same analysis for Pelican, but I really haven't got it in my own mind what those costs are compared to what these savings are. And I'd really like to know that.
For Pelican or
I
for?
want to know for both, but I certainly want to know for Gateway. We're
Yeah.
tying off.
Well, we had done that presentation.
I keep hearing that, but I keep asking for where are the numbers of what we have spent? What's the history? What's the cost? What's the expected savings? I've not seen that.
Okay, well, we had the presentation done by Tetra Tech that said it was gonna be about $7+ million. And that's why we started to move towards FPL, and we paid $500,000 for the contribution to native construction cost. And then we lease the poles out from there on out. Until we had final design, we couldn't gauge on we know what the per pole cost is, but now that we have final design, I know exactly how many poles there are and what the projected cost.
I think what Bob's looking for is, even if we just had by going in the direction we're going in, over a 10-year period, we will
Right.
have saved $300,000.
If we were spending 40,000 a year, and
Yeah.
now we're gonna spend 500, but then
Yeah,
it drops.
I don't even think that we would say what's the annual save, because we have some upfront and like we'll hit the break even at year 5 and then we
But
start.
I'd like
and
to
then-
know where that
yeah,
break even.
just like literally it's a one sentence. you know, The lighting project will, over a 10-year span, will save Gateway X amount of dollars.
All right, well,
And it will make us, lighting is more efficient, it'll add value to the community, blah, 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 all that stuff. But
And a whole lot less hassle. When something breaks, you know who to go to, to get fixed.
yeah.
I wouldn't throw that in.
I have faith in.
I don't, I'm meeting with them Monday.
all right.
But yeah, it's just something
Full
simple like
sheet,
it
you
doesn't
get a
have to be
meeting.
real complicated.
All right, anything else for the district priorities
No.
under agenda management?
Nope.
Okay. Gotta,
Supervisor comments, ready? Carol?
The fire warrants. The fire warrants
Fire-
person,
Our credit.
fire credits, impact fees, whatever we call. Has he sold any?
I had written a letter for the one. I followed up with him. I haven't gotten a response back from him yet. With the
Do we have
broker.
any money
Uh,
from it?
I don't know yet. He has not replied to my email. So
So
I
you don't
did,
know yet.
we don't know yet. I'll follow up again.
Okay.
Carol asked me a question about the status of the procedures, policies and procedures. I think we've made the last iteration and changes this week, Chelsea, or not to it.
Yeah.
So we can clean that up and get it to the board. We want to have a workshop on that, I think we talked about.
Okay,
I mean.
we can do that in July. No, you don't. You canceled the first
You
meeting. We'll do it.
think we need a workshop for that, or you don't think you just?
We can just bring it in front of you
We
guys.
can just bring it in front of you then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that necessarily would like.
I'm sure it's gonna be stunning reading.
Get your caffeinated beverages, yeah.
And you did send out the survey stuff for the, I think I just saw Laura's email.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Anything else, Carol?
No.
All right, Deb,
Nothing.
Ed?
Yeah, are we gonna bring up the issue of the palm trees?
Oh, Ed.
We gotta do something. I don't want to take down those trees.
The cost is $750 to remove all three of those.
That's not, that's not the issue.
What, remind me again, how far are they impeding? Because
Stephen,
Brad was saying
Right now,
9 feet.
right now.
Talk with him, because I think he overstepped a little. I didn't like the comment and that he says that we didn't understand what we're talking about, because that's not for him to say. Because I understood exactly what I was doing and what I said and how I made that motion. The LME is the LME, it's 20 feet. We as a board, unanimously or not, decided that we're gonna come into a medium, and I think it was Ed's decision, idea to go with the 9, and I was okay with
9
that.
feet.
And this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. It's happening. We went from the 20 to this, let's just pull it out of the sky. This is feasible. This is,
But
and now we're changing it again.
I think the difference is, Lafayette, is the 9 feet of the dimension of where it's from. There's where the problem is. The 9 feet, we've been talking about the cut
Trench.
line, the trench line. That trench line is many feet up above the
The-
stone line.
And which is a
And
control
which,
elevation.
which makes us go up further into bank to necessitate the distance. If you take the control elevation and say that we're going to have, and we do have in all of our jobs, 6 inches of stone.
Mhm.
Well, 6 inches of stone on a 2-to-1 slope is 2 feet. Okay? Or on a 4-to-1 slope is 2 feet. So you go from control up 2 feet, and that's the end of the stone. From there is where we're talking about possibly having it as 9 feet. So you take 2 and 9, that's 11. You're only using 11 of the 20 feet. So you're not taking that extra footage to go all the way up.
So
to
you're
the
saying
outside.
2 foot of stone above high water mark.
Correct.
Yeah.
On a 4-to-1 slope.
And
Yeah.
we're talking about these palm trees are impeding the 9 feet originally, but
They're not
Oh, yeah,
easy.
they're impeding.
by
they're
how much?
impe-
18
No,
inches?
no, they're not doing any of that. They're impeding the decision that we had made previously that anything in the LME.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
That's the,
I know what we had talked about is if we make a rule, we want to stick to it. However,
we're now seeing
I
that
think
it's-
it's very difficult to go 100% of the time. If we can maintain our policy objectives by, let's say 90%, knowing that there's going to, if there are some special circumstances, like this palm tree is literally, within inches or a foot of that, and it's easier to keep it in place. We can get around it. There's no issues. Then I think I wouldn't have any problem. I haven't seen it, but I don't mind having some wiggle room in our policies when it makes sense.
well, the one thing that Brad said that does come into play is that no matter what you do at some place, if you make a change back on the basis that we move it on the LME to a full, but to something less, there is the chance that you're going to run that 9 feet will go into a tree or into an obstacle. My deal is the way you solve that is if it's half or more in, it comes out. If it's 2 inches into a 24-inch oak tree.
Yeah.
Then. it's
Well,
bad.
and again, that's why I say we have to have rules for our exceptions. And I think you're saying if it's
Yeah, if it's
less than
or
half.
more,
We always
if
want to
it's-
have common
If it's
sense.
less than half, it stays. If it's more than half, it goes.
Yeah.
But that isn't the issue. The issue is right now is defining the point. When we do these jobs, and the key is, I told this to Brad 100 times, is that you're seeing stuff after it's done. What we've got to do is come up with a policy that we can explain to the people before the project starts. If you go out there, control elevation is so easy to see. It's very easy to mark. First of all, there's property pins there. So if you take the water, whether the water level's down or the water level is up,
that's the.
you've got a pin that shows where it's at. Then if you go on the basis that it's 6 inches of stone above the control, which is what has been all of our design, and on a 4-to-1 slope, that's 2 feet.
2 feet.
So you go 2 feet into the 20. Now, 9 feet from that allows our equipment to come in, not touch the stone, and do all their work. So it's, in essence, we're using 11 feet of the
Which
20,
could be more than enough.
which should be more than enough.
What I don't want to do, and get to Flavia's point, is I don't want to adjudicate this on every pond we do.
And
Yeah.
so when I went with him today and I saw it, that is just one. He pointed out every single one of them. So,
Thinking they all should stay?
yeah.
Oh, that, no.
So that's,
So
so that's,
If we have so many
if it's a
exceptions, we don't have-
one-off, I seen it. I was
know,
there
but this
today.
one-
Yeah. So I don't have a problem one-off, but when I did a drive with him, that is not the intent.
so the
The
Royal,
intent was
There's-
everything.
That's my point.
the Royals fall, okay, the board gave direction, trench plus 9. The Royals fall within the 9 feet,
Right.
period.
And-
That is from the engineer.
And we've got someone that's appealing that.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
the
The
issue is,
only one.
Hang on.
So we got someone that's
hold on,
appealing it.
hold on, we're again talking a moving target. It falls within the 9 feet of the trench, not 9 feet of the stone. That's the difference.
Well, and that's what I say. So
And
once-
that's about 4 or 5 feet.
Yeah.
Well, if the stone is truly on a 4-to-1 slope, 6 inches, 2 feet, you're only, the most you'd be adding is 2 feet
That's it.
to the 9. So now you're talking 11.
That's what I'm talking about.
So
11 of the 20.
the ponds moving forward, this was the last one because you all said that we were in construction. We said 9 feet. That makes sense. We've already removed some trees from that. This is the last set of trees that have to be removed. Every pond moving forward is clear cut LME, whole LME. That's the board direction. That's how we're proceeding. So this is one instance that we have the property owner contesting. We need your direction.
I would make a motion that we make an exception for these 3 palms based on. I don't know, do we have enough justification? on
Well,
this?
it doesn't.
Staff recommendation and engineer, or,
Well, I don't think it's staff recommendation. I think there is ability to probably maintain the ponds with the amount.
I think it's helpful to have that basis and also indicate it's a ad hoc one-off. So, because you always gotta have someone come down the line and said you did it for this person.
yeah, so let's be very clear on the motion, so, and I might need some help, so I'm making a motion to accept the residents' appeal of removing the palm trees for justification that if we take the 9 feet from, what is it, Ed?
11 feet from
Edge of
high.
the stone.
Ed,
Or
If
go
we use
11
9
feet
feet from
from
edge of the stone.
From the
control.
yeah, that's the better way to do it.
And I think also just at this time,
That's clean.
you don't want to lock yourselves out and foreclose
Correct.
the board, any future
We're
board.
gonna grant a variance on this lot for
For
East Street.
Okay, so,
at the present time, again, circumstance, based upon the circumstances that exist today.
yeah,
That's important.
yes.
I'll second that. Just a second.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second, on favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And with that being said,
When we accepted the terminology of the trench. Rather
yeah,
than.
so we may have to
Yeah,
modify
I
the
remember.
definition.
It doesn't
would've been
matter
a lot
now
cleaner.
because it's clear cut the
It's
whole
clear cut
element.
in me, so
This was the last one.
that was just, yeah, we don't, there is no.
We accept that when we go to the next pond with our new board, somebody might say, oh, I need to have that reviewed. So we'll do it.
But this pond was already,
It was
Yeah.
already in the project, yeah.
It was
we did
basically
say
grandfathered.
moving forward.
All right, anything else, Ed?
No, I don't.
Bob?
I got a couple of comments. The Pelican Preserve experience on Pond 36 with lake bank replenishment was such that doing it the old Pelican way, we had a price from a vendor that was going to do the job for under $200,000. Once we incorporated into the structure of the district's bidding package parameters, the guy that was gonna do it for under 200, he didn't even bid on it. A couple of them just didn't bid. And we ended up that we cost ourselves $300,000. So my request or thought process that I wanted you to consider is only talking for Pelican Preserve right now, because we've done a lot of things the Pelican way in the past. But I want to get back to that more streamlined process. We relied a lot at that time, because I was deeply involved in it, with using the engineering services of Tetra Tech. And I know even in the current budget, there's a couple of places where it's going down because they're doing less general engineering. And that's fine for the other 60% of the community. But I want to be able to have a focus given to the quote unquote Pelican way, where we don't have to give a 73-page bid package. We can trim that down or somebody. We still got to abide by all laws and regulations, but I don't want to cost ourselves as a community 50% more to do a project we know we could have done well at the much lower cost. So if that makes sense, that's what I'm trying to get out.
Well, here's the deal I've got on that. There's two issues in putting together these projects. There are the general conditions and then there are the detail specifications. We pretty well established when we created the pond standards that we had a Pelican way and we had a Gateway way, which would allow the detail specifications to be, let's say, tweaked differently there than they are here. That's that side. That's not the end of the world. Where the end of the world comes is on the general condition side. I don't know how we can have a gateway that we have two sets of general conditions. If we have a set of general conditions that we prepared that call for X, Y, Z in definitions, or what is it, 29 pages, Tony, of general
We're
conditions?
trying to pare it down, but yes, like insurance
Well,
requirements.
we definitely need to look at that, but my point is that to me, the general conditions, if they are needed for us, they need to be needed for them.
Well,
If they're not needed for us, then let's get the damn things redone.
I'm not
Get
gonna
them out.
talk about what's needed here.
Yeah.
But I know we were very successful at what we did.
Well, I'm not talking publicly funded. Publicly funded is totally separate because we have to follow their rules.
Well, we don't publicly fund.
I know. So
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah, yeah,
apples and apples, non-publicly funded projects that you guys do over there or we do here. The general conditions, which have nothing to do with the detail spec. This is just the front end documents, like your definitions, your insurance requirements, all of that type of stuff. They should be the same for both sides, because if they don't, let me go on. The
Okay.
reason I say that is because if they don't need to be there for Pelican, why do they need to be there?
Well, that's part of what I'm questioning over here, which I always do at the cost we pay here.
It
But
is an
the-
add-on to the cost
And
of the
it's-
project. There
It's
is no
getting to
doubt
be
about it.
burdensome. If we can fix a problem at a lower cost alternative, maybe without all the quote, I don't even know what you call these things. If you call them general
That's what
conditions,
they're
I'm
called,
okay.
general
But in the
conditions.
past, we called Tetra Tech, told them what we wanted to do. Everybody came out, we looked at it, we walked it, and it got done without a big cost.
Well, my guess
I wanna
is,
get back to that.
my guess is what you guys have done over there is you basically negotiated agreements on purely the detail specifications and what we call the general conditions, which are the front end package, you ignore. I think I simply said. But my point is if we can ignore them over there, why can't we ignore them here?
And again, to address the issue about paring them down, that's what we're working on now.
Well, I think
it-
that's a great, we need a workshop to go through those general conditions, because there's some stuff in there. This latest requirement that you got, these guys have to have the same uniforms and the same hats, and good God, where the hell did that come from? Some of these guys coming out of these union halls, Jesus, you're lucky they got a shirt.
But if our general conditions over here, let's just talk about it. If they are causing a supplier, a potential supplier, to raise his rates 50% to meet them, then I got to question why we need to do that.
Well, we definitely look at that. Now, it's one thing if, and I'll use this as an example, if we're both getting our roof done, my contractor's bonded, yours is not. They both do a great job. Yours is costs, $50,000 less. It's great. It won't matter unless something happens to yours and you need to go back and cover a bond and it doesn't happen. Now
Risk.
that
It's risk.
the risk that you carry, that's where I can see fluctuation. But if it's not related to insurance requirements or something along those lines, and we're seeing an influx in bid prices, then we need to figure out why that is. If it's not justified.
If I can give an example, and
Yeah.
Bob, chime in, please. So I think one of the heartburns that we've done recently is we bid out Pond 36. So we had Tetra Tech draft up the plans for Pond 36, doing it the Pelican way, reclaiming the sediment from the pond, putting it on, doing their coconut mesh fabric. Historically, they would just go out to a couple different vendors that they're used to and say, hey, give me a bid, give me a price.
Exactly right.
But there was not a formal bid form. It was just, hey, give me a price. This is what we want
Why do
done.
we have to do it if they don't?
That's what.
So,
Wait a minute, finish the example.
so what we changed with Pond 36 is we had Tetra Tech do the design, had them design it the Pelican way, but we used we put out a formal bid. We put out an RFP using our general conditions document specifications. We required bonding. I think we required bonding, certain insurance
Agency fees.
requirements, et cetera. Whereas before they would just say, all right, Joe Schmo Company, we're good, shake hands, here's a PO, let's roll and get constructed. Whereas we have a little bit more formal process. And I think that's the learning curve.
That's exactly the situation.
And that's what we're working on though, to make it eliminate redundancies, duplications, and any contractor should not have any issue, quite
It's
frankly.
all that
Once we,
too, Tony, but part of it was the contractors. I'm not gonna use Copeland as an example because we've been dealing with them for 8 or 9 years. They've done millions of dollars worth of work for us. They're extremely reliable. They wouldn't even bid. When we
Why?
sold the
But why?
package,
But why?
well, they didn't want to have to put up a bond, and they said it was too cumbersome to do.
So-
To comply with. the
Is there
process.
anything illegal?
So
Anything illegal?
I am like,
I want to stay legal all the way. I was
read
caveat
my
that at the
mind,
beginning.
say what I was going to say. Go ahead. You're good at it. Say it.
I blew it on this. I'm not
The
going
fact
to
that-
say it one
The fact that
day.
you're in Bobby's mind kind of makes me nervous a little bit.
yeah, she's ready to nervous too.
Oh,
Ready to
God.
pounce.
You're done.
Okay, fine.
You're done.
Well, and I think this all leads back to
But if
the,
it's legal,
well,
what they're doing, why are we doing it different here?
Ed, I think this all leads back to the training session that Tony's gonna put together for CCNA and for construction projects and following Florida statutes, chapter 287, because that's what we're bound by.
Well, portions of it and others.
Yes.
Are we bound by it because of SRF?
No,
No.
because we are
District.
We're
government.
special
Government.
district.
And that's there are.
You shouldn't be doing what you're doing.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
I
Are we
think that's-
suggesting that what we did for?
Yeah, we're suggesting we
Was
should.
all illegal?
No.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Very
Not-
questionable.
Have a cue, have a cue.
No, I think,
not- it's not-
I think the critical aspect is there are a number of Florida statutes that apply to districts. There are a number of Florida statutes that apply to cities, counties, and the state that don't apply to districts, that deal with construction, that deal with maintenance, that deal with competitive solicitation, and we also have the district's rules. And the forms of documents are not necessarily listed in the statutory, in the statutes or the rules, but there are, I'll call it, typical general documents and conditions that should be included so that there's no confusion on anybody's part. And so, and the primary focus is, defined terms, the parties, a form of an agreement, insurance requirements, payment requirements, other issues, verify public records, the scrutinized list, the convicted vendors, all those things are documents that are typical of any project. And there are
Let me ask you one
and there
question.
are certain thresholds where a more formal solicitation process needs to be implemented.
Every contract that Pelican initiated initially, working to Tetra Tech, every one of them came through this board. Nothing was done outside of this board approving, it, including our esteemed attorney.
Yeah,
What's
Well,
different between?
I
what we
think we're
did
going
for
down a
8 years
rabbit
and what
hole
we're
here. I
doing
think what Bob is saying, and I think we all would agree, is we need to be pushing for a lean process whenever possible
Absolutely.
without,
Yeah.
without sacrificing risk mitigation and the quality standards or whatever that is. Like, we want to do that. And if Bob has an example, then we should be looking at analyzing it in staff. and
36
saying, Why
is a perfect
why is there is it legitimate?
It can
And
be
then,
streamlined.
documentation is documentation. I deal with RFIs and RFPs all the time, and they're a pain in the ass because they're long and some are good and some are not, but it is what it is.
There are some streamlining opportunities we've
Yes.
discussed. And we're already going through it to look at those redundancies, because that also may have been, well, what,
Well,
Rightly or wrongly, I assumed that Tetra Tech dotted the Ts or the Is across the Ts.
Tetra Tech, I can tell you right now from an engineering perspective, the
They don't-
engineer will not
It's
get
not their
involved
job.
in the
It's
general.
All I'm
conditions.
telling you is, they got the.
The two
work
pieces,
done
and I think back to Ed's point, there are the requirements and there's the general.
Well, for 8 or 9 years, we were
We
able
do
to
the
do it
general-
very efficient. And I come over here and we're spending 27 million. That dog won't hunt. I know if I can do it. I don't understand, and I need somebody to educate me, why I should pay 50% more for a project. The work on the field is the same. So all we're paying is somebody's overhead, whether it's an engineer or attorney or somebody.
Well,
I don't understand.
part
that.
of a couple board meetings ago, this board directed and said anything engineering related, Tetra Tech needed to handle it.
But that's the detailed specs.
Yes, and so
Tetra Tech
we
will
can,
not do general conditions.
and we can refine our front end docs that have the general conditions, and Tony is working on that. And just maybe referring to exhibits, and absolutely, I think we can do that. But I think the education of the Florida statutes and what we're bound by, not by, Chelsea just is on a tyrant that she wants to make everybody spend more money. No, we have to follow these procedures and processes. And I think
That's why we need to take those 29 pages and really look at
No,
what
no,
really needs to be in there and what
It's
doesn't.
not just that packet, but it's also when is formal sealed bid, when are they required
Appropriate.
versus just asking for a request of more
Well,
simplified.
now, is that a
process.
dollar value statutory?
There are some dollar values.
Because up north,
And types
we
of
can
work.
have general conditions that are different if there's a dollar value. Like if
A
it's
lower dollar value, yeah.
Well, if it's like a $500,000 threshold, then you get the full meal deal. Anything underneath of that, some of those general conditions don't apply.
Well, no, there's no hard and fast rule about the general conditions. There are certain things that apply to every contract.
So it's not tied to a dollar amount. That's what he's asking.
Not
But what-
necessarily as far as the general, I mean, you have, again, it's construction versus maintenance. That's one
Big
differentiation in the Florida statutes. When you have to engage in competitive sealed process. Maintenance services are different and it has a different dollar threshold also. And then the board has a rule, a procedure that outline the process for soliciting proposals for like maintenance services.
And those are, maintenance is defined by statute.
Well.
Okay,
Kind
let me
of.
just pause for a second. We're not, we
Hold
should
on.
be solving a problem in supervisor comments. A comment was brought up. It should be documented as something that we need to address.
And let's understand. the
Because we're
process.
spending 30 minutes on a
Well,
supervisor
the other
comment.
one is you gotta watch this because you got maintenance contracts that quickly lead to construction contracts. You gotta watch it.
Yep.
So first thing you do, you end up with a maintenance contract, which means you can skip some of these steps. But then the minute you want to issue the guy a change order, he's not eligible.
Well, we should just,
Oh.
staff should be
That's
looking into
right.
best practices when it comes to these types of documentations
Then
and,
a license.
I would like to have a
Along with
deep
20.
understanding of how we had to spend 50% more for 30 cents.
You want
leave
that
it at that.
conversation with Tony, or want that conversation with Chelsea?
I went with the board. I mean, I would think we should.
and maybe it's a workshop or that's something
That-
else.
that-
It's just- We're not gonna solve it in supervisor
Like
comments.
a case study.
Yeah.
Unless,
Here's what
Oh,
happened.
isn't Tony planning to give us a briefing?
A training.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, we're working on paring it down substantially.
Yeah.
I'll call it the general package.
where did the general conditions that we have, these 29 pages, where did they originate? Where'd they come from?
Which,
The latest version.
The ones that people
The
won't
ones
vote.
that, the ones that everybody's all upset about. The ones that I read on those documents we got, where did they come from? Typically, you have like the
I think the- I
EJCDC,
think they came from
Engineers Joint Contract Documents Committee.
I think I
creates
brought it
general
with me.
conditions.
Yeah, and I looked at them initially, but then in practice has indicated that there needs to be a major revision.
They are not, I can tell you from my experience working here and going back way before I was on the board. The general conditions that we got now ain't the ones we had back then. They have been added to and doctored, and it looks like somebody, well, this sounds like a good idea, let's do this. This sounds like a good idea, let's add
Yeah, well,
that.
let's, you know,
All of that adds cost.
let's just
Again,
review it.
again, the
Let's
staff,
review it.
we have been looking at it with that, and you can just tell again, duplications, redundancies, we're trying to get rid of that, number
The
one.
clean version.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All I'm asking for is do a deep
Yeah.
dive so we understand.
Yes, sir.
Understood.
Okay.
And how we can improve it in the future.
That's good.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, just in general, I saw that in the budget, there's a number of things with Tetra Tech doing less general engineering. What does that mean? I mean, their budget went from $20,000 on an item down to 9, and then the comment on the right-hand side said, doing less general engineering. But in the past, they were doing the general for us. So who's doing the general now?
Are you talking PP or O1?
O2.
Most.
O2,
time-
you're talking O2.
Well, it's all over.
Not
That comment is here all over the place.
Most of the time, it's when we get Tetra Tech involved, it's project oriented. So those costs should be charged to the project, not
Project,
to
no.
just the general,
general-
general account.
I get a bill for general engineering maybe once every 2 or 3 months and it's a couple.
That makes
of
sense.
bucks.
Yeah, so, makes sense.
Again, forgive me because I don't know how we.
Yeah, exactly.
But we got the work done and now it seems like the work is being pulled from that. Maybe I'm just,
No.
my perception.
It's the opposite.
About 4 times the size it was when I started.
It's more of a shift in the GL, so it's gone from general engineering to
I
project.
spent some time with Ed.
Yeah, we got some things that we probably would have in
Yes,
general, but it's minimal.
Oh, okay.
I guess we'll
Uh,
get deeper and deeper.
Okay, I have some concerns about the staffing percent. Was that discussed
Yeah,
earlier?
where it's-
Yeah.
Okay, we resolved that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't change it.
People, okay.
With that was part of the story.
Well, but,
We're-
yeah,
we're-
Well,
we're
that
just-
was,
we're going
that
to-
was the end
Okay.
result, Ed.
But we're going to modify it at the end of the year with basically a true up.
So you're gonna get
okay, we're gonna
exactly,
get 6 months. Well, can we do, you consider to just increase it 50% this year and then do the true up? Because I gotta tell you, I asked staff for
yeah,
what was the foundation?
We
Wait a
considered
second,
it. and we
Wait a
didn't agree.
second, well, okay. When I got it, I got Daniels and it came to 2.5 hours a week. His time that was on his calendar.
Documented
Well,
account.
that's what I asked for. Was it documentation?
Yesterday.
What was the, yeah, but no, but he didn't put that on his calendar. What was the foundation of this
Unscheduled.
work? And when I got it, oh my God, it was, 10% of what I'm paying. And with Gloria and Julie, it was just,
Georgia.
But that's
Georgia,
just,
yeah.
that's just a point in time. What we're talking about doing is
Yeah.
I
over a long
want that.
period
I
of time.
totally agree with that. But I don't want to have to overpay now.
But you're gonna get a credit.
50%.
that, well,
keep
so.
on-
I
what
don't
we're
want any
doing-
credits.
Keep on our side, we don't want to overpay either.
Yeah, because we're subsidized, right? But, and then we asked that question, and then Danny was also averaging, you had him 28, so he's also.
And we're paying him 45.
No, you're paying him 25.
Yeah, but then it's 2 minions.
Oh,
Or in there too.
Bob.
We didn't have these people before. Now
No, you're
Okay.
getting so much done. It's
we're
great,
building
isn't
a new
it?
building. We ought to call it the Pelican Building. You guys sticking it to us. All right.
Are you done? You're done.
Well,
Well, for now. We're only done for now.
yeah.
God. All right. No, seriously, you want
Very
something?
poor over there. That's all section 8 now.
Oh, yeah.
Bob's got an hour that he missed. They just gotta try to get it.
I'm not in any hurry. I'm not in any hurry.
All right, so we are done with supervisor comments, and let's go ahead and,
Did you have anything?
no, I don't want to even have anything. No, I'm good. Thank you for reminding me. No.
The just last comment before we adjourn,
We're not a
the
supervisor.
qualifying period is next week for those that are up for reelection.
Noon, Monday, June 10th through noon, Friday, June 14th.
Or you can take it tomorrow.
Or you
You
can.
need a notary, pretty much everybody. at
Yeah,
our
I got to
office.
come over and get my notarized tomorrow.
And
Oh, so-
for reelection, remember, you need to have your certificate. You
Do what now?
recommend that you completed your course.
Yeah, the one we got on the course,
Yeah.
they just have
Form
to
1.
print it and take it.
No,
Oh,
no,
they
Write
want,
that for you?
they want to see the
Form
approval
1.
letter.
Yes.
Which one?
No, the
Form
ethics course.
1.
Form.
Form 1 is what you had to do,
Oh, yeah.
unrelated to the election. But the election people want to see your.
We all had to do it, yeah.
did Form 1. Well, she's looking at me. What's Form 1?
All right, y'all can,
Yes, that's the look that I have.
I'd like to tell you, but can I tell you?
All right, so beginning
I
adjourned.
move to adjourn.
thank you.
Thank you.
You know,
Yes.